But yeah, I just want to acknowledge my gratitude and excitement for being here, for this relationship. You've become one of my closest, most favorite bros of all time. And I think we are going to do some truly world-altering stuff, and we already have been. So I'm just glad that we get to kind of like piece another piece together and see what our crazy brains want to come up with. And just taking a deep breath and appreciating how effortlessly and enjoyably consumed this episode's going to be, and it'll light something up for people, and there'll be so many different avenues for them to go take action and try some new things and, you know, integrate what they're learning with their community and their family. And may this be kind of like a line in the sand of this show moving forward, where like we keep ramping up into the summer and all the other amazing guests coming on, and kind of letting this theme of like the rested, resourced version of Alec meeting like a smoother and smoother podcast flow, where all that just gets to keep scaling up and it starts to feel completely effortless and has its most impactful setup possible. And so it is.
So it is. Thank you, bro.
Hell yeah.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Okay. For the people who are watching and the people who are listening, but especially for the people who are watching, you may recognize this beautiful fellow in front of me from Confluence if you attended. He was running our workshop yurt, making sure that it was staying on schedule, and he did a phenomenal job with that.
I love kicking people out of yurts, apparently. That's my new favorite thing.
You're really good at kicking people out of yurts, man. I'm really proud of you. Didn't know you had that in you.
Yeah.
No, you did such a good job. And that whole event was absolutely incredible. I felt like it was fitting to wear this t-shirt today.
Yeah, I need to get some
given
merch.
that you were there. I actually almost didn't get one of these. I went to go see if there's any left over at the very end, and there wasn't any in my size, but Mike and Lindsay had pulled one aside for me, which I really appreciate. What an incredible event, though. I feel like I haven't really had a chance to integrate it because I chose, and I want to emphasize this, I chose to also move right after Confluence, which was moving a process. Choice, but god dang, dude. Doing that with 3 kids, one of which is a 9-week-old baby, I would not wish that upon my worst enemy. But nonetheless, it was an incredible transformative experience. I'm so glad that you got to be a part of that, an integral part of that, running the workshops. And you also did 2 workshops yourself, one on the gold pill and one on lucid dreaming. We'll get into some lucid dreaming stuff today. We might touch on some gold pill related stuff. Sure. But I think I said this to you at your birthday party. I don't remember exactly how I said it, but something to the effect of like, you have so many gifts to offer the world, and it's time for you to share them.
Thank you.
I mean that. Like,
you know what you said? You said, I might be as cool as Andy Kaufman. That's what you said, which is one of the highest compliments I've ever received. So Andy, I haven't met him yet, but I'm sure.
That's a pretty big compliment.
Yeah.
No, that is definitely a big compliment, because I've also said Andy might be one of the most brilliant human beings I've ever met, ever. Like maybe in the world.
Happy to just be on the same planet as him. So, good.
Right. So with that, I think it's pertinent and appropriate contextually to just have you share your background and what led you to doing what you do, which we'll get into today.
Cool. Great. Gosh, this is the fun part. I've been trying to tell this story for like 15 years since I've been like making content online and doing all this stuff. And there's like a 4-hour version of it. And then there's the quick one where I usually miss like key details, but we'll try to dive in. I always like to say my story started before I was even born, because when my parents were pregnant, they put me up for adoption. And that started this whole cascade of synchronicities in my life. First one being that I was almost adopted to a different family, and there was a glitch in the paperwork. And the family that adopted me was about to adopt another kid, and there was a glitch in their paperwork. So then we got synced up somehow. And then both of my moms, while my mom was still pregnant, were illegally sending letters back and forth to each other, becoming pen pals, and developing this relationship to kind of team up and give.
So like your birth mom with your mom, adopted mom.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So they were already like building a relationship, like, let's love the heck out of this kid. I mean, I'm just imagining what they're saying, right? And you're not supposed to do that. Nevada is a closed adoption state. but they did it anyways. So that already started my rebellious, nature. My mom, who adopted us, she basically had ovarian cancer that turned into everything cancer. So she couldn't even have kids. So I have 2 siblings that are also adopted. And ever since I was a little kid, that just gave me a bunch of extra stuff to think about that nobody around me was thinking about. So I'm in kindergarten hanging out with my friends, and I'm like, you guys, all of your parents are your parents and mine aren't. That's interesting. What's up with that?
So you found out at a young age?
Well, we just knew. My sister's from Korea. So
okay.
she's just
so
Korean.
It was kind of obvious.
My brother's blonde hair, blue eyes.
I can see where you might pull some East Asian though.
I've heard that before. Yeah. But yeah, my brother's blonde hair, blue eyes. My dad's like a Viking redhead looking guy. And my mom's like a, curly haired Jewish lady. So we were like this whole eclectic thing. You couldn't have hid it from us. But also weirdly enough, my brother and sister who are older than me, they could care less and didn't even want to really like find out about their parents or anything. And from the moment I could think about it, I'm like, hello, 2 people, like I get how this works. 2 people made me. Where are those people? That seems kind of interesting and maybe kind of important. But at the same time, too, I'm thinking things like, well, if my sister, she has her 2 parents too, I guess they're also my parents because she's my sister. And my brother has his 2 parents, so they're kind of my parents too, even though I'll never meet them. And so simultaneously, an adoption is really traumatizing, no matter really how you put it, right? You're like taking a baby who's supposed to be with certain people and you give them to someone else. And as soon as I popped out, they handed me over to the new parents too.
Wow.
Even though, again, in Nevada, you have to keep the kid for 48 hours and then officiate the transfer. So my birth parents convinced my parents to pay for the hotel room next door to theirs so that they could keep me with the new parents. And in case the social workers came to check in on us, they'd go to the back and hand me over the balcony, like outside.
Wow.
To kind of like do the handoff.
Yeah.
So my parents were dead set. Like they just knew. Because of course you have a baby and you're sitting there holding it. You're probably going to want to keep the baby. So they're like, we're not even going to let ourselves like fall in love with this kid. So on one level, that's one of the most traumatizing things that ever happened to me. And it also gave me this massive gift, which was by the time I'm maybe in 6th grade, I'm like, okay, well, every kid in my classroom is just as much my brother or sister as my brother or sister because they're just 2 random kids. That's kind of cool. And all of a sudden, I felt a little closer to everybody. And then I go over to my friend's house and I'm hanging out with their family. I'm like, everyone in this house is literally if they would have paid 20 grand and signed a document, I'd be their kid. So they're just as much my family too.
Wow.
And so that's a lot of extra things to think about. And then I also have to think about why was I adopted? Why can't my mom have kids? Oh, she has cancer. What's cancer? And then my mom passed away when I was 8 from chemotherapy. And I always make sure that distinction is there. She didn't die from cancer. Mm-hmm. She died from basically like a morphine addiction and being radiated from the inside out. Yeah. And so here I am 8 years old with a bunch of extra things to think about. Like, where the hell did my mom go? How does that work? What is cancer? Why are they wait, you mean like a microwave? I've heard that word before. Like, what is all of these things? And I wasn't raised religious or anything. So as soon as my mom passed, my dad, I remember asking her, like, is mom an angel now or something? And he's like, bah humbug, I don't have an answer for you. And, he's hurting even worse than I am. It's one thing to lose your mom while you're barely conscious. Another thing to lose your wife of 20 plus years and build a whole family.
Plus, like, you probably add the context. They tried to have kids and that was already traumatic as it was.
Yeah. So that made me an interesting little kid. And once my mom passed too, it gave me this secret vendetta in a sense, which was the story I was dealt a bad hand, right? Like I shouldn't have been adopted. Now I don't have a mom, and my dad, at that point was drinking a lot and abusive in his own ways, and I love my dad's the best ever, and he's experienced more death than anyone that I know in my life. He's an absolute trooper. But when I'm young, I'm just like, screw this guy. He's not, giving me the care and love that I need. And he's just working his ass off and doing the stuff. And so I became a very rebellious kid. And actually in adoptions, the science shows when you adopt more than 2 kids, there's a 50-50 chance every kid after that just won't gel with the family. It's like a black sheep.
And you're the youngest.
Yeah, I was the youngest. So I was the third. And when you think of things like the biofield and pheromone. Like I'm built to feel familiar smelling whatever my parents would have smelled like. And I've never smelled my parents. In fact, I smelled a bunch of random people and a baby has to adjust to that with no context, right? So that was something that just always kind of stuck with me. And then of course, losing your mom's kind of a big deal. So I had this rule for myself, which is great. I'm allowed to do whatever I want now because, you don't have a dead mom. You're trying to tell me rules. And like my teachers, it's like, you don't know what I'm going through. I didn't know what I was going through. And right alongside with that, and this was maybe just a week after my mom had passed, there was this crazy lightning thunderstorm and rain. And we're just, staring out the window in the backyard. We're, counting after the lightning strikes to see how close it is. And a lightning bolt strikes the closest I've ever been. Have you been close to a lightning strike before?
Not like super close. Well,
driving where, like you feel
30 feet away driving though. I was in a car.
Okay. So we had just the screen door open. It's everything's white for an instant, like just pure white. You feel the electricity, you feel the heat. And as soon as that happened, I felt my mom kiss me on my cheek. And I just knew that's what it was. Even though I'm not like obsessed with ghosts or angels or anything. I'm just like, and I'm like, Dad, oh my God, Mom just kissed me on my cheek. He didn't really have a reaction. And then that night I had my first ever lucid dream. And so talk about more things to think about, right? Like what the hell is all this stuff? And that very first dream was me in this mansion. It's like a party. Everyone was a skeleton and they're all wearing suits and all dressed up. And just that, I was like, well, that's weird. What this can't be real. And then I was like, wait, didn't I just go to sleep? Boom. Fully lucid. Have no idea what to do with it, but I immediately walk out of the house because I'm not trying to hang out with a bunch of skeleton party people, and I just sit in the backyard next to the pool and just like look up at the blue sky. Like it just looked like a normal, I'm sitting in a backyard. And then I woke up and that started off a whole other cascade of things that got me essentially learning how to lucid dream, how to wake myself up, how to confront my fears and all the boogeymen in my dreams and all these different things. And then I started to get curious about, is there a way to do that while you're awake? Mm-hmm. And like, what is the equivalent of that? Because lucid, to me, it's like you instantly have more options. Mm-hmm. And if you're truly lucid, you have infinite options, which is not actually something I would endow on almost anybody, because that's a big deal.
Yeah.
So it gave me this opportunity to start to learn about myself and my sort of inner terrain and my psyche and all these different things in interesting ways.
How old were you when this happened?
8. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
It's cool. Like what sticks out to me, and I've heard this piece before, but not to this depth, that you had no context. You had nothing to sort of paint this experience against. You just said your dad wasn't religious. You asked like, oh, is mommy an angel now? And he didn't really answer.
Yeah.
And you had this direct experience, and it was like an instant knowing that your mom kissed you. Like, mm-hmm. No, that was definitely my mom kissing me.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so cool.
I just knew, and had the exact same thing happen when my brother passed away when I was like 20 or 21, about it within a week of him passing, which I had a dream about the morning it happened.
Wow.
Like basically the exact thing symbolically. And it was thunder, lightning. I'm just sitting in at my girlfriend's house on the couch, kind of looking out, doing the same thing, just looking out the window, waiting for the lightning. And I feel my brother put his hands on my shoulders, and I just start bawling. And I just knew it was him. And even if either of them weren't them, that's really besides the point at this point. It allowed me to connect and relate to them in some particular way.
Real quick before you continue, sorry, I'm just really curious. Please. I don't want to go over this. Yeah. Please hold that thought.
Yeah.
What do you think it is about lightning specifically that induces these experiences?
I have, since Confluence, I've been thinking about that a lot more. So lightning's plasma, right?
Yeah.
So if we live in this sort of shared field of information, and the planet itself, which I'm going to make a sphere in my hands for now, for the sake of and you think about like weather systems and all these things, just like how we move through these sort of astrological and psychological and hormonal and all these different cycles. What if weather is kind of like part of the information cycle of a planet? So once a rainstorm passes through, the information in the field's got to be different. And once the sun comes up again, like you're a different person. What if lightning are literal like informational downloads? It's light and it's information, right? And it's also very disruptive. So when you think about, it like that, that's kind of what I think. It's like, oh, there was this light and this information, and it's going to ping whoever is relevant to ping or whatever is resonant in the field to do that.
It like amplifies and concentrates what already exists within the ether in that moment relative to the individual possibly.
Sure. I haven't really, we're just kind of, That's a great idea though. But I have thought about that a bit, like weather moving through a city is changing the field, obviously. And something as deliberate as, well, obviously just rain and water is going to do something. And then these like light cannons, shooting into, and then sometimes lightning touches the ground and then sometimes it doesn't. Yeah. Right. And sometimes it just stays up there. And anyways, that's something to grok for sure.
Yeah. I wish we had Gerald Pollack there to discuss weather within the context of charge, and then Veda to discuss the water piece to help us figure out what's going on here. Yeah. Okay. Sorry to interrupt. You said up until that point.
Up until that point. So what's really interesting about humans is we want to take an experience like that. And I did for a while. I'm like, oh my gosh, my mom died and now she's some non-physical being and she like blessed me with some superpower and I can lucid dream now. And that's a fun story. And that was my story for a while. Not to like, I'm not trying to be all grandiose about it or something, but I was like, that's kind of cool. Like I can do this thing, and everyone, I rarely meet people who can do the stuff that I can do while we're dreaming. So that's fascinating. Just a few years ago, it finally clicked because of how poorly I was held in that situation, and my mom passing also being very traumatic, obviously. A totally materialist person or whatever, like non-spiritual, whatever, you could just say like, I gifted myself the ability to disassociate so well that I could experience whatever freedom I wanted to experience while I'm dreaming to help myself handle the fact that my mom just died. Right? Like, what's the first thing you do when you get lucid? Most people either want to fly around or have sex with whoever you'd want to have sex with. That's kind of it. Those are usually the two. And I know this from years of research, right? And personal experience. But moving beyond those two things is where the work actually starts, because it's very easy to do that. And that's kind of part of that work of like these lower impulses, or just this impulse to want freedom, et cetera. So those were most of my dreams. I wasn't sexual at that point. So it was just flying around, beating up bad guys, being able to escape bad positions that I'm in, et cetera. So while I'm awake, I'm unconsciously suffering deeply because my mom just died. I have no idea what that means or what I'm going through. Nobody was there I didn't have a single person once in my childhood, other than this one like therapist lady at the school, but I was with other kids and it's her job and it just didn't feel right. But no one was like, hey, how's it going? Like, how are you? Do you need anything? Can I help you with this? And my dad also needed that. He wasn't in the position to give that to us. So I gave it to myself by something in my psyche switching so that I could experience total freedom. And I'm very, very grateful for that. But it's just been a kind of humbling little switch around where it's like, yeah, it's a superpower, and a lot of like psychic abilities and very interesting kind of things that happen with people very often are correlated with trauma, right? And something unlocking for them, which makes sense that we'd have that built in.
Totally. I mean, you could say for many of us over the last 5 years, it's accelerated our remembering process because of the traumatic situation that was COVID. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it makes a lot of sense.
That was traumatic for you?
I mean, yeah, to some degree.
No, that was brutal. I don't think anybody's recovered from that.
No, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Definitely like not fully integrated that. It's interesting. But what you said there, like, could it be seen as a gift though that was given to you by your mom? Like, what I mean by that? Of course.
I'm trying to be scientific, right? I can't prove one or the other. And it's fascinating that both can be true. And that's usually how I look at that stuff anyways.
Did you lucid dream on command at that point?
No.
Okay.
That was more probably from 8 years old up until junior high, it was more spontaneous. It's something, there's probably were plenty of nights where I'd look forward to it and then it would happen. But I didn't even think to like, oh, I should like be cultivating this or working on this. I'm just a kid. And then once I was in junior high, I started realizing like, oh, I have a crush on this girl and I never approach her. And then I'm having dreams about this open loop, right? So then I'd realize, oh, I'll practice in the dream and then get better at it. And I didn't really get better at it. I was a total wimpy, prudy little kid, all the way through high school. But that's where it started to click, where I realized, oh, stuff that I'm ruminating on while I'm awake keeps showing up in my dreams. Maybe I should try to like meet that in the dream intentionally to do something about it.
I have a question about dreams.
Yeah.
I have a lot of questions about dreams, actually, since we're on that topic right now. So last night I had a dream that I was like deployed to some East Asian country in the army, which I've never deployed before. Yes, I was in the army at one point. And that I was like a sniper in the army. And I didn't want to shoot people, but I was shooting people. What I'm getting at is like, that felt incredibly random to me because I don't think about the army. I don't think about the military. I'm sure you get people ask this all the time. Like, I had a dream about X and it has no relation, at least not on the surface, to my day-to-day life. What's with that?
Yeah. So it's always 100% relevant and it's in your unconscious. That's the whole point. So it's like to the same degree that you have no idea how to make enzymes in your liver, and yet it's completely fundamental to your whole body even operating. It's like in the same category.
Got it.
Right. You're like, oh, that doesn't enzymes, liver. What the heck is that? Like, I don't know what that is. Is it made out of cells? Do cells even exist? Like, we don't understand how any of it exists. So we'll put dreams in that category. I think when it comes to the dream stuff, people ask me to interpret their dreams all the time, and I can because it's fun. It still never can be the full thing because it's me. Right. Everybody dreams every night. It's a natural part of, it's what your psyche and your body has to do to integrate your life experiences. So sometimes something like that can be as simple as literally one clip, like a commercial of a Call of Duty game coming out that just ping and just kind of pings something that you could care less to think about consciously. And then it just found a way to kind of metabolize through your system like that.
Okay, that makes sense.
Or a movie that you watched, or a conversation that you had, or something that is metaphorical and compelling enough to your conscious psyche that you'd want to bring it up on the show, right? Like because if it was like, oh, I got deployed to East Asia to run an ice cream truck and I didn't want to give people ice, like you'd be like, this is so silly. But it's like, man, I was killing people. Like that's a little more different, and and you could have been on a timeline where you were deployed and killed people, and so
could have been
very close to that.
Right.
So does that make sense? Where
No,
it's
that
like,
totally makes sense.
It might seem so out of the blue, but it can't be.
Do you think there are like, how you can look up your dream after you have a dream, and people will say that, okay, you have a dream that your teeth are falling out. That means you have a health issue that you're not aware of or something like that. Do you think that there are patterns across the board that are actually like that with respect to dreams?
It seems to be the case.
Okay.
Yeah. I can't remember his name. Some guy made like a dream dictionary that's based on a lot of research that hits a lot of those. The teeth falling out, by the way, is from my understanding, mostly an insecurity thing.
Oh.
So not necessarily a health related thing.
Okay. I've
just
seen both.
Pure insecurity, just to think how vulnerable that is.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, there do seem to be patterns, archetypes. I mean, archetypes and dreams are some of the most synonymous kind of models that there are. And we're dealing with archetypes and dreams a lot for the sake of the emotion that it brings up. So yeah, I do think that there are themes, but everything's going to be, filtered through your personal lens, because that's the point of it, is helping you personally integrate.
Here's a deeper question that I have with respect to dreams, and I don't even know how to articulate this, but I'm going to try my best. When you dream, is it that your essence is going through some subtle form of astral projection to somewhere else? Is it occurring here and now?
Love this question. wish I knew.
Yeah. I mean,
have
in your
my own-
experience,
Yeah,
what do
yeah.
you think?
So if you think about what you had for breakfast yesterday, right now, and allow yourself to even kind of visualize it or just kind of be there again, are you somewhere else?
Right
No.
here.
So it's basically like that.
Okay.
But because there's none of the limitations are there, and you're not like, oh, I'm just thinking a thought in my head. Like when you're asleep, you just are the mind.
Yeah.
So there isn't any reference point that's going to like bring you back into like a here and now. But in just that mental space, you can be anywhere and everywhere and anytime. So it's kind of more just the laws of mentality versus using the mind while we're awake in a body.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Dude, it was wild when I interviewed Diane, and I'm going to butcher this explanation, but she was talking about, I think in episode 7 or 8 of Telepathy Tapes, how there's this one nonverbal autist who will tell his mom what he needs by entering into her dreams the night before.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So like that implies to me that it's an actual space somewhere. And I don't know if that's true though too, because obviously these kids are proficient in telepathy, which means like mind to mind communication.
Mm-hmm. Like
it could just be another layer of this reality. I guess the other question that's tangential to the one I just asked is like, is it a layer of reality, or is it only existing? I don't even know how to ask this. Like within your individuated biofield.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
No,
like, is it a layer of reality that other people can enter into as well? Like even relating it back to the nonverbal autistic kids, is it that they are projecting their own biofield to the degree that it's overlapping, almost like merging with yours in order to enter into that dream?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it that they're entering into a layer of reality that you are also in the dream state? You know what I mean?
Yep. So
it's so tough to articulate.
No, you're right on it. And part of that first question too, you also can while dreaming. So if we just call it like the astral realm.
Yeah.
Which has a lot of connotation. People use a lot of different names and words for things.
That's what most people say when it comes to dreams in this space. They say it's an astral
using
realm.
the term layer though is already us needing it to kind of like make sense in a way.
Totally.
So the astral, we are in the astral realm right now too.
Yeah.
If you have a mind, you are in the astral realm.
Yeah.
If you have if you're aware, you are connected to that.
Mm-hmm.
So when people, most of the time, and in its natural, normal function, when you go to sleep and you dream, you are entering into your own personal astral field, like a bubble. But think of that bubble is on the bottom floor. It's still encapsulated, but it's in the bottom floor of the entire collective astral field.
Got it. Okay.
So you can have a dream, and then within that dream, leave that bubble, and then you're having a fully out of body or astral projection experience. Those need their own kind of distinction too, because you can just genuinely leave your own body with your own consciousness. And then astral projection, a lot of the times, is you genuinely just projecting a mental space to be aware of, but it can still be accurate, like of a real-time thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you can astrally project that you're at the Mar-a-Lago in Florida. I don't know why I thought of that, but like, because I go there to infiltrate all the time, and get all the codes. But you can go do that like a remote viewer would, and you could go see what is truly there real time, but you're not actually there. Mm-hmm. You're connecting to the information in the field. And then an out-of-body experience is your soul literally leaves your body and physically goes to.
So you distinguish out-of-body experience from astral projection. Obviously, there's a difference between astral projection and remote viewing, but there's even more distinction between astral projection and out-of-body experience.
Yeah, out-of-body is you're literally out of your body.
Okay.
But once you're out of your body, you're a mental being. And again, we're using like mental, energetic, etheric, whatever. Mm-hmm. And then from there, it's like you're like plugged into the whole internet, where mm-hmm. as long as you think it, you can go there or get that information, or depending on who's.
So in that realm, like thought creates form much quicker.
Instantly, if there's no barriers. And that's what's great about the dream space too. And so in dream space, you're in an instantly thought responsive environment, but it's still filtered through in that personal bubble. So your beliefs are so massively ingrained in that, which is why people like have a hard time flying, or they want to do, or you're trying to run and you're like running, because it's getting you in touch with something that's up for your actual, like your ego and your persona, your psyche has some relationship to that archetype, like getting away or being able to withstand something or whatever it might be. Where I'm currently at in my dream work, which has been really, really fun, because I've had 2 out-of-body experiences in my life, spontaneously. Well, not spontaneous. One of them was spontaneous. The other was completely by choice.
Okay.
And I could tell those stories if you want. They're pretty
please.
trippy. But now what I'm working on is getting lucid in a dream and then exiting my bubble to go into the collective space or out of my body entirely, which has been very fascinating.
Which do you want to touch first? Those 2 out-of-body experiences, or like the ability to do that? Maybe the out-of-body experience.
I'll give the experience quick.
Yeah.
This is a trip, and I'm always grateful to tell these stories because you'll forget sometimes, like one of the craziest things that's ever happened to you. I'm like, man, I haven't thought about that in a minute. But I did just tell these at Confluence, which was great. So I got to be 16, 17 years old. And remember, I'm the kid with extra things to think about, right? So add to that mix, I'm a freshman in high school and someone drops loose change in my mailbox, a DVD of the like OG 9/11 documentary, which was an inside job, obviously. And so here I am, 15. I'm like, wait, so the hole in the Pentagon's this big, but the plane that hit it is this big, and the wingspan is this? It's like somebody's lying. What the heck is going on? So I got this small group of friends in high school where we're asking all these big questions and smoking weed and just trying to like, what's the universe made out of? We're watching Nassim Haramein videos. We're just going off on everything, right? And then we encounter David Icke. So this is just some setup for the context, okay? So I'm walking home one night from my friends. It's probably 1 a.m. I'm not on any drugs. And I have a flat tire on my bike. So I'm walking the bike, having this kind of boogeyman experience, where the hair on the back of your neck. I'm like, something feels weird. Is somebody following me or watching me? It was freaking me out so much to the point where I had to stop, set my bike down, walk a few houses back, look behind bushes, and just like completely calm my rational. I'm like, bro, nobody's following you. Relax. And then this thought crept in. I was like, okay, well, if nobody's following me, maybe what if something is? And you hear about ghosts sometimes make people, the hair on their neck stand up. Like, what if what's following me is one of these like interdimensional reptilians that David Icke is talking about? Like, because I'm like in that space, right? Learning about those things. And I was like, okay, so some entity is haunting me right now. Okay. And then I thought, well, what if first I thought, okay, well, that sucks because I would have no idea what to do about this, if they want to fight or something, or like suck my soul out of my brain or whatever. And then I thought, man, what if what's following me right now is like evil itself? What if it's like Satan? What if it's the most evil entity there could possibly be? And these are just thoughts like showing up, right? I'm not like trying to come up with some interesting idea. And then another thought pops in because around this time, I'm also learning about things like oneness. And I thought, holy shit, even if I am literally right now engaging with evil itself, that thing is just as equally a part of oneness as I am. And that's how oneness works. Like also that.
Yeah.
I'm one with that thing. So I thought that, and then I knew it. And I knew it with a G, right? Like a gnosis. Like I was wait, even if I'm not talking to Satan, what I just said is true.
Yeah.
As soon as I said that, I shot out of my body. I literally had a full body orgasm. I didn't like ejaculate, but like, I'm like having a full body orgasm, and I shoot out of the top of my head in the form of this like egg yolk fluid going through a tube like this thick up my spine, starting from my like gonads, up my spine, shoots at the top of my head, 20 feet up in the air, like a geyser, and then falls back down and coats and drips down my entire body. And whatever the heck that was. And while that's happening, no thoughts, no self, no nothing, pure bliss, no, and nothing there to like experience it, just that perfect oneness, whatever state people talk about on different drugs, etc. And so I'm literally standing there in the middle of the street having a full body orgasm after hanging out with Satan. How weird, right? Or whatever. Hanging out with this thought, like talk about the power of perception, right?
Yeah.
And the very first thought that starts to creep back in is, holy shit, I can't wait to tell my buddy about this tomorrow, right? And as soon as I think that, the whole experience just drastically starts just fading away, dipping. I'm like, okay, it's not about that. I don't need to tell him yet.
Yeah.
It starts coming back up. And then I'm like, oh my God, am I special? Is something special happening? Comes back down. I'm like, okay, it's not about that. Relax. For like good 5 minutes, I'm standing there in the street having this like feedback loop between like my ego and bliss.
Yeah.
And it would creep back in and I'm like, okay, relax. It's not a big deal. And kept going back and forth. And then that was basically the rest of my walk home, was me like just being in this state and then thinking something about it egoically, and it, dipping back down, and then to the point where I'd have to stop a few more times and just let it take me all the way again. And
wow.
So that happened. And I was like 15 or 16. And that was crazy. I couldn't fall asleep for the next like 6 months, because every night as I fall asleep, as your ego goes away, the thing would happen again.
No way.
Right?
Dude,
Yeah.
I've heard of this happening to people who do 5-MeO DMT.
Right. Yeah.
Actually, Brandon said that on my
Exactly.
podcast when we talked about it on, I think, episode 84.
Right.
So it was like that.
Yeah, exactly like that. Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard this a lot. And I didn't know anything about, synchronistically, a week later, I find a book called Kundalini Rising that's got like a bunch of different authors and stuff. And I had never even heard that term. So I couldn't have even like psyched myself into like a Kundalini awakening. And I could care less if it's called that or not.
Yeah.
But so that rocked my world a little bit. But what it eventually turned, and the very next day I woke up, I get out of bed and I'm like, all right, let's do it again. And I sit down in meditation and I'm like, all right, cool little energy thing in my body. Crickets, but I got this little signal that's like, bro, that's not exactly how this works. Like, you can't just, come on, like hold your horses, like be with me a little bit. I'm like, oh, this is something I need to have a relationship with.
Wow.
Because that was the only way I could fall asleep. I'd have to go to sleep and be like, hey, so I get that this is here and there's going on. Apparently you're some like coiled up serpentine feminine energy or whatever, but like I just would like to sleep. And then it'd be like, okay, thanks for like talking me through it.
Really?
I wasn't having like a talking thing.
Not
but
a
like
little
just
dialogue, but still like you had to draw your awareness to it and acknowledge it in order to even go to sleep and not have it come on.
Yeah.
Versus when you didn't acknowledge it, it would just blast you off.
And then throughout the day, it became this, in human design generators, you need that or feedback. It became that in me. So like an would like literally undulate my spine just a little bit and have me like lean forward, or it would have me lean back. And it became this like other form of intelligence like in my being that I think ultimately has allowed me to even like run the businesses I'm doing and doing coaching and all this stuff because of like my intuition or whatever. And a crazy track record of being psychic with clients where I'll like describe us, I'm like, well, some people, they wake up and live their day like, and they're like, dude, that's literally what I do, and I'm just intuiting it. I'm just like flowing with it. So that kind of popped that off and has been an interesting thing in my life. And then when I was probably 22, I was reading a book by David Data, who's a total G. It's called Blue Truth. Everyone who loves David Data almost has never heard of that book for whatever reason. It's so good. I think the tagline's like love, death, sex, and relationships. And it's just kind of like his overall musings and philosophies.
Is it an older book of his? It had to have
I'm
been
not sure.
like,
I'm not sure.
When did you read it?
This was in 2002.
Okay, so it has to be an older-ish book. Yeah. Okay.
So the book has a quote in it. He basically says, "This moment is only as open as you are willing to be."
That's profound.
I was like, let's go, bro. In fact, I set the book down and I was like, all right, life, how about fully open? Like I just claimed it and literally shot out of my body. In a millisecond, I was 1 trillion light years away, going 1 trillion miles an hour, freak the frick out and jump right back into my body. So that was the second time I left my body. And for whatever reason, I mean, I could think of lots of reasons that scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
And I like subconsciously decided, okay, let's not do that ever again.
Yeah.
So that's what I've actually been working through now, that I've taken my dream stuff to such a point where like I'm literally can get to the edge of leaving my body over and over and over again now. But still like meeting these little, wobbly points.
Yeah. Here's one question. Like what major benefits have you found being able to leave your body like that?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's the last, I haven't been able to leave my body.
Oh, you
since
have
then.
not been.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Like, I mean, you could argue that I have with some of the dream stuff or whatever, but not like the, like, just
Not the full
not the
out-of-body
standard
experience,
OBE that we're looking for. Yeah.
But, and there's a piece of you that wants to, though.
Oh, of course.
You want to be able to.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So in the first two experiences, you left your body. Is it that you want to be able to direct your experiences once you do it?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Yeah. So think about, it's like being lucid in a dream. So in the lucid dreaming work, I've been able to get to what I call God mode, which is you can like literally do anything, like creating universes and like grokking that somehow, like knowing every little detail. And like the first time, one of the first times I had like did a hero mushroom journey, I spent the majority of my peak filing everything that exists into files. Like that's what my brain does. Literally. So I had all these files, and the first file was called everything. And then everything was categorically filed into that. And I made sure that everything got put in the right file.
Were you like literally next to a file cabinet doing that?
No, it was just in my head.
Like a mental filing cabinet.
Yeah.
That's so funny though.
So that's kind of what I'm built for. I think we're cut from a similar cloth in that regard, as far as just wanting to like track and make sense of and
how all this works. Yeah, totally. I have a few more questions about the OBEs.
Yeah.
So do you look at out of body experiences as being able to do virtually the same thing that is done in a lucid dreaming state within the context of dreams, except for in waking reality? Is that
right? Because it's like you're able to do that. I could, someone like Tom Campbell could be sitting here. He'd be great on your show. I don't know if he's been on the show.
Nope.
But like he could just pop out of his body right here and like be in this room at the same time that we're here. Now, I'm not trying to, you also can really fry yourself too by doing this a lot. Because it's a lot to, just like when you come back, you do DMT and then you like literally need 6 months to like
integrate.
totally integrate.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to, and as somebody who's a expert disassociator, I'm also not interested. I think that's part of the reason, since I've been getting back into this over the last couple of years, part of the resistance has been me making sure that I don't just pop out of my body and then I'm just that weird guy who's always like, screw here, let's just leave our bodies, because there's a part of me, I'm sure everybody would love to, have that. For me, it's, I'm mostly interested in it for like the intel.
Yeah.
Where it's like, because you and me, we sit and stew in so many theories and so many moving parts and so many things. So just every once in a while be like, oh, okay.
That's what,
and not because I need to now then share it with the world and get famous because I got the intel. I just like, I don't know. It just sounds kind of
like
fun.
You would like to know, like, hey, what's actually,
and if it can help me do what I want to be doing a little better, awesome. Yeah. If it's a fun little insight, and my dreams have been able to be that for me in a great way, but just on like a personal sense, like understanding myself better. I'm my own conspiracy theory, right? So putting those pieces together, DreamWorks been phenomenal for that. And then sure, meeting my mom or my brother or other people that have passed or other people that aren't in bodies anymore. That sounds pretty awesome. Even though Tom Campbell says that you're actually meeting like still like a project, he calls it, what does he call it? Like the big consciousness kind of projects a version of them because they're off on doing their own thing.
Maybe in another body.
But that information's there.
Yeah.
So it's still, you're still having like the literal experience of them, but it's still kind of like a mental projection of them.
That makes sense.
Too. Yeah.
Do you think that's how it is when like spirits visit as it is anyway?
It seems like spirits and like there's definitely a lot of people here, not in a body.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big part of it. And then I think about 99.9% of most things for most people is just some mental stuff.
Yeah,
I think, and then we watch all these movies and we want to be special and we want to, and I'm speaking to myself here too, right? But I think a lot of the time people put a lot of emphasis into things that are just your mind being a mind.
Yeah. And it could be both and. It's like that projection is being projected from God, source, creator, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
To meet you and your needs in relation to that thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
There's like this completely non-personal aspect to everything and then completely hyper-personal to the person.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that makes this cool balancing act between everything, where,
Yeah.
because if it really all just is one thing and there only is one consciousness, and then here we are having the most like hyper individualized experiences we could possibly have.
Yeah.
While simultaneously living on a world that's trying to get us to avoid hyper individualizing and staying in this sort of safe collective field that doesn't allow consciousness to actually grow. It did up until that point. It's what created tribes and tribalism. Like that got us there, and that was great for us. And now we're good at being a tribe, but now we need communities of individuals.
Yeah.
Right. And people being hyper individualized to completely be themselves. And then when you have a bunch of people doing that, that was one of the coolest feedback kind of themes at Confluence. I kept hearing all these people saying in different ways, it feels so good to be here because everyone here for almost like aggressively wants you to just be yourself.
Yeah.
They didn't say aggressively, but it's like, that's the funny part of it. It's like, we want you to be yourself so badly that we're all like, everyone's just hyping each other up to be that.
Yeah.
And that produces the most healing type of environment. It produces the most connective one, the most honest one, and the most challenging one, because people are still discovering, who they are. But yeah, I think that's kind of the point.
Hey y'all, I'm here with Melissa Kupsch from Remedy Academy of Homeopathy. We are so stoked here at The Way Forward to be partnering with Melissa and Remedy in order to spread the message of homeopathy across the world, and also to partner on the eventual development of healing centers across the United States.
People are pretty quickly coming to realize that frequency is the future of medicine. We are witnessing the great resurgence of homeopathy right now. We're really moving away from that suppressive medical model. Whether it's for eczema, asthma, hormones, fertility, anxiety, depression, trauma, whatever it is, it all starts as energy in the person's field first. If we change our field, we can completely change our life. Our 2-year academy is open worldwide to anyone who wants to become a homeopath. We've got 5 lecturers and we currently have over 500 students enrolled, which is record numbers in our field. A career in homeopathy is amazing for anyone who wants flexibility in their work and who wants to be valuable in creating this new world. We have stay-at-home parents enrolled, we have ex-medical professionals, grandparents signed up who want to learn how to heal their grandchildren and pass on that invaluable knowledge. We even have husband and wife teams. So my husband enrolled in the course with no prior knowledge of health as a background, and he is loving it.
Kylie is also enrolled as well, so my partner is, and she's so stoked to become a homeopath and to be helping to spread this message across the world.
The thing that we hear from so many of our students is, I found my thing. Homeopathy is the key. We harness frequencies from nature and we alter the field of all creations. So if anybody wants to join us or they want to know more about it, they can visit our website.
Yeah, and all that information will be in the show notes. So if you want to learn more about Remedy Academy, also Remedy Collective, also some of the homeopathic products that they have, please just head to the show notes. All of that will be listed there. What's up, you guys? I'm here with Matt Maruka, the founder of Raw Optics, to talk about something that I would say the overwhelming majority of people in the holistic health community totally overlook: light and circadian rhythm health.
All of our cells contain these organelles called mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell. They make energy, they convert food into useful chemical energy. And it turns out mitochondria are largely controlled by our circadian rhythm. Our mitochondria are more active during the day under the influence of sunlight. When the sun goes away, our mitochondria have the opportunity to rest, repair, and regenerate when we're not being active. When it gets dark, the brain releases melatonin, and melatonin goes in and actually repairs the mitochondria, repairs all the oxidative damage that happens. Now, if we're exposed to blue light from all the artificial light sources, your phone, your iPad, your computer, your TV, the lead scientist we work with, Dr. Alexander Wunsch from Germany, actually calls it light doping. So people today are sort of being light doped by their employers with artificial blue enriched lighting to increase their productivity at the expense of their health, mental health, and long-term health and well-being. And so just by being exposed to artificial light at night can actually have a massive effect on the body's rhythm, cellular repair, and overall health and function. So we designed lenses that specifically block these disruptive wavelengths of light. So that's why we created daylight lenses. They protect your eyes from the physical damage of short wavelength blue light, but also offer a bit of a protective and relaxing effect for your hormonal system as well, but not to the degree of the sunset lenses, which are designed to basically make you really tired and even kind of knock you out in the evening. So these are the two lenses we offer so that you can have protection at the right levels, in the right way, at the right time. And then sunset lenses, you wear these 2-3 hours before bed, or just from the sunset until sleep, so that your brain can register, okay, the sunset, it's time for me to release that melatonin naturally so I can wind down and not have to use alcohol, weed, sleeping pills, and other things that so many people unfortunately have become dependent on because we're constantly disrupting our body's release of its natural sleep hormone.
So if you want to take control of your light and optimize your biology, head to the show notes or go to rawoptics.com and use code TWF10 at checkout for 10% off.
There's been a common thread amongst multiple people who've had out-of-body experiences that I wonder if it's similar to you. Did you feel claustrophobic coming back into your body? You didn't? Okay,
No.
Interesting. That's like the only
Because
common
I was
thread
just
that I've
riding the wave. I was just kind of blissed out, walking home, and then
Yeah.
went to sleep. So I was just kind of like, it was just an incredible experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. It had
Yeah.
its own discomforts
Yeah, for sure.
afterwards. Yeah. Mostly just being like, well, let me back in.
Well, I have another question
Yeah.
on out-of-body experiences, and then let's get into the lucid dreaming stuff again, because I want to talk about lucid dreaming as it applies to like an individual's life, because
Totally.
it's dope that you have cultivated this ability, and then I could see where someone, probably not many people in my audience, I'm sure their wheels are already spinning like, oh wow, this teaches you a lot about reality, but I
Yep.
can see where someone might be like, oh well, so what?
Yep.
Kind of like with the blindfold vision thing. It was so funny posting about that after Confluence.
So what? You can see with your eyes
Well,
closed.
first there was this guy that was like, oh, this is an old parlor trick. And then multiple people who were at Confluence commented immediately and were like, no, dude,
Mhm.
I was there.
Yeah.
It is 100% real.
Yeah.
And then his comment follow-up was like, okay, even if it is real, so what?
Yeah.
It's like, you can't think of the endless implications
The
of
guy's
this.
having a bad day.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
just having a bad day. But yeah,
I cried so hard when I watched that.
that was my favorite part.
Yeah. And
Is
it was
how many-
also on the other side of me trying to pick it apart the whole time.
Really?
Like some part of my brain. I love dissecting magic tricks.
Yeah. Well,
And-
we have friends who are
Totally.
pretty fucking
Totally.
good at magic tricks.
Right. So I'm trying to dissect it the whole time. All right. So Edith basically like tells the kids, all right, so for you, I'm going to do a green and an orange card first. Okay. And then for you, we'll do a blue and a red one. Okay. And then don't forget you're green and, like,
Right.
sure, that could work for just that first stage. And then it's like, okay, I can't even do a Rubik's Cube looking at it.
Dude, one of my favorite things, and someone pointed this out to me yesterday or the day before, was video footage of one of the kids doing the Rubik's Cube with the blindfold on,
Mhm.
and another kid next to him, a little girl blindfolded, watching him solve the Rubik's
Yeah.
Cube with her mouth agape like this.
Yeah.
Watching
I
him
remember that.
with the
I saw it.
blindfold on as if the blindfold's not there, while he's solving a Rubik's Cube in less than a minute as if the blindfold's not
Yeah.
there. It was just like so cool to witness that. And yeah, that was,
a game changer.
dude, it was a game
Yeah.
changer. And it really was the coolest thing for me wasn't that the kids are able to do that. It was the grown men and women weeping
Yeah.
at witnessing it. Like
Yeah.
that was the coolest part to me.
Yeah.
Because it was such a deep recognition of, oh, that spark that hasn't been dimmed to the degree that it has been through all the traumas and, indoctrination and experiences of my life is also still inside me.
Right.
Like that is still there. And by witnessing these kids doing this, I'm remembering that which is still inside of me,
Right.
which I just think is so cool.
We should have done this episode blindfolded. It would have clicked on at some point. Dude. Yeah.
Probably. I mean, yeah, it's cool because my son's in that class right now and he's absolutely loving it. I'll bring up something that my son has said related to dreaming in a little bit. But let's talk about lucid dreaming though, and go back to that. We kind of went off on a tangent on OBEs a little
Yeah.
bit, which is great. But I want to talk about like what you've cultivated within lucid dreaming and how that applies to your waking life, like how that has benefited you in your waking reality.
Right.
So we sort of left off with you being a teenager, and you also have referenced like the ability to access what you call God mode, where you can like at will within the construct of a lucid dream, make whatever happen. But I guess, what was the process of lucid dreaming to get to that point? Let's just like follow that chronologically,
Sure.
if that feels relevant.
Yeah, no, that's great. There's definitely like a progression in it. So I had that first, it was technically a scary dream that gave me my first lucid dream. It was kind of creepy being in there. And I started to learn how to wake myself up, was kind of the first step. So I would do that. And this was when I was young, 8, 9, 10 years old. And if I would blink really hard in the dream, I'd wake up, but I'd wake up doing that physically as well. So that again gave me just this other kind of connection. It's like, oh, that is me in there, and but I'm also still in my body, or they're still relevant, which is always really fun when you have a dream where there's like sand pouring out of your mouth and you can't get it out, and then you just wake up and you've been breathing out of your mouth and your mouth is dry. So it's always kind of funny when stuff kind of makes its way into that space from a physical space. So it started from, learning to wake myself up, and then starting to get really courageous, where I would love just like jumping off of stuff, and before I hit the ground, waking yourself up. And by the way, if you die in a dream, you don't die in real life. That's just, something people get afraid of that. But I have definitely tested that, and I've definitely died in dreams plenty of times.
What happens when you do die in dreams?
You just wake up.
Oh, you just wake up.
Yeah.
Okay.
You wake up sometimes still completely in the emotion, still, caught up in the thing. I've been eaten alive by a shark.
Wow.
Felt the whole thing. That was fun.
Purposefully?
No.
Okay, I was going to say that wasn't a lucid dream.
No, that was
okay. I was gonna, like, why?
Yeah.
Let's try this.
Yeah.
Jump in the water.
Yeah, I don't recommend that. So I always use the analogy of that white room in the Matrix movies, where it's just empty, and then they can program it to do whatever they need it to do. It can turn into the dojo where they train. They could say, oh, we need guns. It fills up with all these guns. Your dream space every night is that room, and it's always programmed to whatever is most relevant and pertinent for this person's psyche to be integrated. And that's what everyone does every single night. And you don't remember it most of the time because you don't need to. And thank God you don't, because we would just all be a mess if we had to track all the different wacky, wany stuff we're doing all night and while we're awake.
How come some you remember and some you don't?
That's a good question. I think the default is to not remember, because that's just its own job. In the same way that I don't need to eat food and then be like, okay, well now it's down, get in my stomach,
okay.
and here's that. Like, we don't need all those details, right? There's
versus you eat food and then like you have a huge acid reflux response, and it's like teaching you something about you.
Sure. Yeah. You ate too fast, or was the wrong thing, or you were too stressed when you ate, or whatever.
I could see that.
Yeah. And then I think the gift of remembering, I remember every morning at least the dream I was just in, and I'm lucid probably 80% of nights.
Really?
For like 80%, like there's nights where I'm not lucid at all. So like 80% of a week, probably 5 nights of the week, I'm going lucid for most of that time.
Mm-hmm.
But most of that time is kind of the morning sesh. So like 3 a.m. to 8 a.m. So the progression turned into getting more and more courageous. And then like I'm in junior high and high school, and you're learning about authority figures and social life and crushes and your hormones and all these things kicking on. So all of a sudden my dreams have all these very obvious archetypes and things that are going on. And then I started to realize I could essentially practice something I wanted to do in real life while I was in the dream, whether that was like a test, like passing a test, or getting good at cheating on the test. Cause I've been like anti-school since I was in first grade. Like just so like I took pride in just not doing the homework. We do the SATs or whatever. I'm like D. I'm like drawing pictures in the bubbles. I just really couldn't care at all. I used to ditch school to go home and watch YouTube videos of like learning how the Federal Reserve works and what is permaculture and EFT tapping and how to meditate. Like I would literally ditch school to go home and go to the school I wanted to go to.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then it basically progressed to this point where I started to tap into like being able to like, I want to have a dream tonight. I want it to be about this. and I want to specifically have this experience so that I can move through that or practice it or integrate it, confront a fear, whatever that is. And that was hit or miss for a really long time. And now it's probably 80, 90%, go rate. Like if that's what I'm planning that night, I can have that experience. But I'm at the point now too, where I also put a lot of intention into not having lucid dreams and not remembering them. So I can just go to sleep and wake up, which is a nice experience to have as well. But that's probably the main practical piece, is simultaneously asking myself, if I was lucid, let's say something happened that day and you're like, man, I didn't handle that well. You could argue it's because you weren't as lucid as you would have liked to have been. The experience made you more lucid to those options. And when we're in a fight or flight nervous system reaction, like that's the point, is you're not there to choose what you're doing. You're reacting. So you can't control that anyways. But you can also live and cultivate yourself in a way so that you're less prone to reacting, or you don't react from the same level of trigger, etc. So
you feel like your experience lucid dreaming has made it so you are more lucid in reality?
Completely. Because that's my favorite
so cool.
question, is like, how do I do that while I'm awake?
Yeah.
So I encourage the listeners too, and we can do a quick exercise right now.
Yeah, please.
Which is, even just right now, without any prompting, what would you need to do to be even more lucid right now? Like, where did you even go as soon as I said that?
Breathe a little bit deeper.
Perfect. Great example. So if you're in the middle of an argument, that moment you're in an argument with your loved one, and then you realize that you're triggered, and then you're like, okay, so am I going to like admit this now and try to start cooling down, or like, do I really want to yet? Because I'm kind of like upset.
Do I double down?
That's lucidity. You're aware of it. It provides choices.
Yeah.
When you're just in a dream and the T-Rex is chasing you and you're running because you think you're going to die, you're not lucid. You think and feel like that's what's actually happening. Just like in an argument, you think you hate that person and you think they hate you or whatever it is. You're just lacking lucidity. So the breath is a great example of that, because it's an instant, immediate choice. You're already accessing your willpower. And I think that's a big part of it. I'm pretty sure it's Rudolf Steiner who has this quote, willpower is earned, which I'm a big fan of, right? When you're tired and hungry and have to pee, you don't really have a lot of willpower, right? You're literally not in control of your choices and what's the thoughts that are showing up and how you respond to them, etc. So to be able, if you're like, well, I don't want to argue about this thing with that person anymore, then it's a matter of like, what choices can I make to put myself in a position where I don't lose that lucidity while it's happening, right? So creating containers around hard conversations and all that kind of stuff. There's all these things that you can do to have more lucidity in a waking life context. And similarly, there's ways you can try to set yourself up to have more lucidity when you go to sleep. Mm-hmm. So there's a direct parallel there. And even when I was in high school, it just became so obvious that whatever was still an open loop in my psyche while I'm awake would present itself in the dream, giving me a chance to create closure or give me the practice I needed so I'd have the courage to go actually do it while I'm awake. So that's probably the main, just bringing it to that practicality piece, that's kind of like the main gift that I think lucid dreaming can bring us.
Yeah.
For one, it's just fun. Like I wish anybody having a stressful week could have a flying dream in the middle of the week. It could save your life.
Really?
It's so relieving. Mm-hmm. Some of my favorite dreams that I'll ask for sometimes, where I just float around and I'm just literally like belting, "Thank you, God. I love you, God." And it's the most healing. I just wake up feeling so refreshed. I'm like, man, I should do that while I'm awake more too, and it's just really nice. So that's a great value of lucidity, is just letting yourself actually relax. Like, I just want to be on a quiet beach all night and like hang out with a turtle that wants to tell me interesting stories or something. And you could just go do that. And that's great. And then the other side of the practicality is kind of like giving yourself, kind of like how Neo and Morpheus, they're practicing fighting in that dojo, and it's not real. So they can just go off and nobody really can get hurt, etc. So genuinely practicing, playing music, different like movements. I saw a video on YouTube of this guy who was practicing this like gymnastics move that he's doing while he's asleep. And then it was easier and easier for him to do it while he's awake. Reminds me of the studies Joe Dispenza talks about, where the people just by thinking about lifting weights gain just as much muscle as the people lifting the weights, right? Or pretty much close to it, that you gained any at all is pretty crazy.
I think there's some other ones, if I remember correctly, with putters and like dudes putting in golf,
right?
And also some with people swinging a baseball bat, and then also some basketball players shooting free throws,
right? And I just saw a video of the like Air Force guys or the blue whatever Angels, where they're like close their eyes and they're just visualizing the exact like G-force, and they're just practicing like that, and they're just doing the whole thing mentally to cultivate something. So when it's time to do it for real, you're more in touch with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been able to like, I can't even think the amount of music that I've written in dreams that I'll like remember the song every once in a while, but it's like the most beautiful music I've ever heard. And then I wake up and so sometimes it's still fleeting and it's still just a beautiful gift to have. But I think to kind of wrap that part up in the simplest sense, I think we're here to be as integrated as possible, which means we're full spectrum, which means everything's on the table and everyone's got their own version of that, right? Mm-hmm. So somebody who has a really hard time getting aggressive and setting a boundary, your dream is a completely safe place to do that, to the point where the boundary you could set is literally beating that person up, which is something you probably wouldn't value doing while you're awake, but is something your animal body desperately wants to do. And something that your animal body will cause disease if you suppress the fact that it has that impulse. So that's been massive for like on a healing sense, where I've been able to chew people out, I've killed so many people in my dreams. And a lot of people have, and I've talked to some people who have never at all. I had one dream where literally just a line of infinite people all coming up next to get their heads chopped off with like a samurai sword. That was the whole dream. And, or people, one time I got jabbed in the dream. They were coming to this community in their lab coats and they were jabbing people. So I'm trying to run around and like protect everyone. And one of them just got me and I just went ballistic. And it was so helpful because I feel that way.
Yeah.
Right. Like I genuinely would love to walk into certain places and tell them no, right. for lack of a better explanation. So the fact that I got to genuinely experience that in my body, right? You wake, everyone's like, oh, it's a dream. It's not real. It's just in your head. It's like, okay.
Your body definitely
You've never woken up from a dream shivering, sweating, pissed off, full of tension. Right? It's like you are having that experience. And if you ask anyone who's listening to remember a dream you've ever had, even just a snippet of it, and then also remember something you did last year, as of at this point, those two memories are in the same category, and that category is something you did that you remember. And right now, you're like, well, one was just a dream. It's like, okay, but right now they're both just memories, of something you did.
Yeah,
that seems pretty significant to me.
That's super significant, especially like if you think about a traumatic dream that you've had, like it brings effects in your body that you feel right now, as if it actually happened. It really is no different than a dream,
right?
So if someone has never lucid dreamed before, how do you begin guiding them to lucid dream?
Yeah. So you start with that lucid while you're awake. So while you're listening to this podcast right now, it's like, can I become more aware of what I'm seeing around me? There's a peripheral kind of opening that's helpful, like seeing, like really absorbing, taking in the room. There's the breath. There's it's like this noticing muscle, because one of the most common lucid dreaming kind of hacks is just asking yourself, am I dreaming? Right? Because if you say that enough while you're awake, at some point that'll, just like when you're watching the same TV show, you start having dreams about it. It's the repetition and it's the level of engagement. So if you really engage with this inquiry, you'll plug it into your subconscious. And then at some point you'll ask that question while you're dreaming. And the difference of how you feel and what you notice while you're awake or asleep are so different that usually kind of gives you an instantaneous lucid experience just by asking. But what I tell people to do is ask yourself, how do I know I'm not dreaming? And like prove it to yourself that you're not dreaming.
Like in waking reality, essentially.
Yeah. Because you're like, oh, well, I know it's not a dream because I don't know, because it feels physical. And it's like, okay, things feel physical in dreams, So you want to just let yourself have this curious, inquiring part of your mind, But then you can't be lazy about it. You can't, oh, am I dreaming? No. Okay, great. Go on with the rest of your day. You got to like prove it to yourself. It's like, I know I'm not dreaming. And a great example is pulling on your finger. Because in a dream, it's gonna, it'll wiggle away, or you'll just rip it off, or it'll be elastic or something. So that's just a great easy one while you're doing it. So you like really get familiar with that feeling. And then basically my number one sort of hack, it's called the wake back to bed method. So it's basically you wake up and then you go back to bed. And by waking up, so I always tell this example, when you have to get up to pee in the middle of the night, usually you try to keep the sleep on, right? You like walk to the bathroom, and you're like, oh, don't wake up too much. Everybody does this, right? Because you know if you wake up too much, you kind of wake up too much, and then it's hard. So you keep all the sleep on. What I'm suggesting is, instead of keeping the sleep 100% on to the best of your ability, keep it on 40%. Keep it on 30%. So you go to the bathroom, you go pee, turn your senses on just a little bit. What does the floor feel like in the bathroom as you walk back? You lay back in your bed. Just check with each one of your senses. How does the room smell? Do I hear anything? And just that alone can help. Doing that and then having a really strong intention of what you want the dream to be, where you want it to be, why you even want to be lucid. Having all that kind of momentum behind it helps a lot. But what you do with this wake back to bed method is you're essentially waking up the prefrontal cortex just enough, like the conscious part of your mind, just a little bit. So as soon as you go back into the dream state, which most people are dreaming in that time frame, and most people are waking up to pee at like 2, 3, 4 a.m. From that time until the morning is when people have the most dreams anyways, right? Most people dream in the morning. So that's going to keep your brain on just enough to be back in the dream. And you're like, wait a minute, wasn't I just in my bathroom? Oh shit. And then you're there.
Got it.
But the trickiest part of lucid dreaming is you get too excited while you become lucid and you wake yourself up. Most people's lucid dream experiences, oh my God, I'm in a dream. And they woke up. It lasts that long. You literally kind of wake yourself up out of it. So practicing a genuinely calm, clear awareness once you get lucid is kind of been the biggest hack for me. And I'm a big fan of this guy, William Buhlman. He wrote the book Adventures Out of the Body.
Yeah.
And he talks about commands, clarity now, right? Saying, higher self now, or awareness now. And these things where you're using your consciousness. Because in a dream, it's to the degree to which you can will it that it will happen. AKA, you got to believe it. You have to trust yourself, and you have to flex your will. You can't just say like, make a pile of money. You got to be like, make a pile of money. You got to like emote it into the space and use your will. So I started doing the commands while I'm awake. And my command was calm awareness now. Clear, calm awareness now. And I'd just be doing the dishes, looking out the window, and then I'd say the command and just notice if anything happens. And you do. You're like, oh, well, why wouldn't I just calm down a little bit? Like, why couldn't I? And things feel a little more HD maybe. Like you just get the subtle little, like you like gave yourself a microdose almost. So everyone should be trying that. Come up with whatever commands. And practice saying them mentally and also practice saying them audibly. And you might get a different response. So that's kind of you were asking me how to do it. Where do you get started, right?
No, that's great.
Yeah. So practicing the commands while you're awake, whether it's, am I dreaming? Clear, calm awareness, clarity now. That's a great one too. If you're like fuzzy or foggy in the dream, you just say clarity now and boom, the dream will go HD again. And that can be really helpful because people will just kind of fizz out if it's too foggy or whatever. That's probably
these are all things
one.
that you start doing in waking reality, and then naturally at some point it'll start occurring in dreams essentially.
Yeah. And for the same reason that repetition and emotional intensity will kind of wire someone's psyche, right? It's wiring it, or, you're going to embody some new pattern by doing it enough. It just becomes automatic. That automatic part is the unconscious. So by practicing it enough throughout the day, you're you're feeding that unconscious part to develop.
Got it.
So that way, once you're in a dream, you might just be walking around your house in the dream, But if you spent that whole week walking around your house consistently being like, am I dreaming? I want to have lucid dreams. I'm like, it's top of mind. It's relevant. You're emotionally connected to it. You have a plan for what you want to do. Then you're kind of giving yourself all the pieces to do that.
That makes sense. Cause then it'll be the likelihood that you will remember, oh, I'm dreaming right now because you already planted the seed so many times.
And the likelihood that you'll feel even called to think that thought while you're in the dream.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And then the one other, when I say it's important to have a plan, and the plan I suggest for people is as soon as you get lucid, just walk within as close as you can, but just go find a nice little spot and sit down. That's it. Because you're going to want to, as soon as we go lucid, then we're in our unconscious and our, lower mind is on board. And like I said, you either want to fuck or fly, because like everyone's a flyer or a fucker.
That's the title of this episode.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And I did that for years and years and years. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden you're like, man, why? Like, I'm so boring. Like, what else could there possibly be? And there's a lot.
Yeah.
And there's a direct reflection as well. So to the degree to which I stopped flying and making it about sex, those are also cleaning up in my disassociative tendencies, or my like lower animal body tendencies are all cleaning up, because it's like this direct reflection of where your beliefs at. You could consciously stop yourself from being a sleazeball all day and then go to sleep and be a sleazeball all night. AKA you're a sleazeball. Because when push comes to shove, our defaults are what run the show, right? Yeah. When stress shows up, when we're not at capacity, it's the defaults that show up. So it's kind of giving you a really good insight into at least like what type of access to your will you actually have when you could have anything and everything.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow, man.
And very difficult.
Well, it's cool though, because it sounds like it's like one of the best ways, like what I'm hearing throughout this whole experience is like, yes, you can do a lot of cool shit when dreaming, but there are a lot of things in waking reality that are hard for people to integrate and process that they can process when they're in a dream state if you become good at lucid dreaming.
Right. And even if you don't, that is what your dreams do every night anyways, which is great. Like that, we have this built, it's basically why we have to sleep. Mm-hmm. Sure, the body needs to like reset, but man, the mind needs to reset.
Yeah, right? the mind needs to integrate.
It carries a lot more weight than the body does.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. The other thing that I was thinking about as you're describing this whole experience is like, so I've never lucid dreamed before. I've had dreams where I'm like, okay, I know I'm dreaming, but I couldn't consciously dictate what occurs in the dream. And they were some of the most profound dreams I've ever had in my entire life too. Like
there's layers to it. You can just know you're in a dream, so you feel safe. And then it's like, oh, T-Rex is chasing me. Like it even still feels scary, but I still know I'm okay.
Yeah.
Then you can choose where to actually look, or choose what to do with your hands, but maybe you can't choose where to walk. Or you can choose where to walk, but you can't like dictate anything. And then, so there's different kind of a whole spectrum of lucidity.
Yeah. And like those dreams that I've had were, like I said, so incredibly profound, and like, it would be hard to, they were so incredibly profound that like they almost fall in the category of what might be a lucid dream for me. Again, I wasn't able to dictate what was happening, but what comes up for me is like, as you're describing the process for lucid dreaming and how you can get too excited and then it cuts it off. I have done various techniques to try to learn to astral project. Mm-hmm. And I've gotten like super, super close to being able to, like the vibration that you feel, but then I'm right back into my body because I get too excited. Has cultivating the ability to lucid dream also made it easier to astral project, or to, I mean, I guess you've only gone out of your body twice, but has it at least made it easier to astral project?
I do think so. I don't astral project as like a practice, but I think I probably do it a lot, in the sense of, it's kind of one of my superpowers, I guess, even like with my coaching and strategy and stuff. It's like someone will say, oh, hey, I want to write this book. My mind automatically projects like, great, here's how the cover can look. Here's how you're going to market it. Here's who to partner with. Here's how, like the information like if they offer that symbol, my mind unpacks the whole thing automatically with zero effort or thought To me, that feels like a form of astral projecting, because sometimes it even shows up as potentials, like, oh, we could do it this way, and here's all the details for that, or we could do it this way, here's all the details for that. And then I've been practicing remote viewing a lot, and I think I'm pretty good at that, actually, which is really fun. Had a really cool experience with Mike and Yerasimos at Confluence, where and a guy who's in the Way Forward community who offered to pick me up to take me there, right? Total stranger, super awesome dude. I did a remote viewing test with him. He got it on the spot. We're just guessing like a shape and a color, basically. Yeah. And then I did it with Mike, and he got it perfect as well.
Wow.
Yeah, Yerasimos was way off, of course. No,
no, he actually had cool though.
He had like the shape right and the color wrong or something. But
okay.
Mike just like got it, and then we were both like, "Oh, this is
Mike
Holshoe?
Cool.
No, Cardamom.
Oh, Cardamom. There's too many Mikes, dude. Yeah. Like Mike Wilkerson, Mike Holshoe, Mike Cardamone, Mike. Yeah, Mike Winter. It's funny though, because the reason I brought that up is because like I feel like once you unlock some of these psychic phenomena that we all have untapped within us, it becomes easier to do other things. Like
I have had dreams of having out of body experiences, so that's been prepping me in that way.
In reality, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Because so yesterday, my son's in week 2 as of the time of this recording of the Blindfold Vision class with Dr. Edith, which is absolutely freaking incredible, by the way. Like, it is so cool to watch these gifts come online and all the kids that are in the class. But my son yesterday had the experience of like being able to see the computer screen with the blindfold on, and he had this like freak out moment. But he was so confident in himself after that happened that one of the teachers, Bodan, who does it with Dr. Edith, this other kid was having a little bit of trouble getting past his logical mind. And it's because he's a little bit older, so he's been subject to a little bit more conditioning of the logical mind. So he's doing really well in the course, but he feels like he's cheating. Like he's like, the mask has to have moved a little bit. And they're like, no. That's why we say don't touch the mask after you put it on, because we want to show you that it's not cheating or anything like that. But again, he's still struggling. Yeah. And so Bodan takes everyone through these exercises and is holding a color underneath the table off screen and asks that kid, and the kid, you know, is still struggling to get that piece correct, which is understandable because his logical mind's taken over. But my son is in this pure state of confidence and holds a color under the table. Bodan holds a color under the table and it's like, what color is it, Grayson? Grayson immediately goes, green. Holds it up, it's green. My son's like, oh my goodness. And it's just so cool because I feel like once you start unlocking...
Wait, so he saw through the blindfold and through the table?
Yeah. Well, through the blindfold, through the, like, remote viewed. Like, my point is, like, Bodan's holding it off camera. Yeah. And it's like, what color am I holding? Grayson immediately goes, green. And Bodan holds it up. And again, holds it up on screen, and Grayson has a blindfold on and sees that it was green on screen. It's like, just the whole experience of that. Like, he's remote viewed, and then he also is seeing through a blindfold what this guy is showing on screen. It's just so cool, man.
That's incredible.
It's just such an incredible time right now that we're like all tapping into these incredible gifts, and like lucid dreaming is just one of them. Okay, so another question related to that. This is a big one. You've already implied it a number of times with lucid dreaming. What does your experience with lucid dreaming imply about the nature of reality? That's like a big ass question.
Probably not much.
Probably not much. There's probably no correlation at all. But you've already implied it multiple times throughout this conversation. Like, I'm gonna let you answer, but there's so many ways to go about this.
Yeah. What does it imply? I really do have to give credit to William Buhlman again, because he's kind of built a model that's also confirmed. But that's what I love about OBEers and near-death experiences, astral projection, remote viewing, lucid dreaming. You have all these different camps, all off doing their own different things, coming to the same conclusions, right? Completely anecdotal experiences of cosmic level stuff. And then they're like, oh yeah, that's what I saw too. I'm like, oh yeah, that's basically like that. And what it seems like is, right, when you leave your body, whether it's an NDE, OBE, whatever it is, or in a lucid dream, you're in a thought responsive environment. but it's instantly thought responsive. Here on Earth, while we're in a body, we're also in a thought responsive environment, just not instant.
Mm-hmm.
So think of that like training wheels for our consciousness. William gives this great example. Like if you were to be put in a room right now that was instantly thought responsive, would you even want to be in that room? And can you think of a single person you'd let be in that room with you as well? Unfortunately, I can't think of one. And that says a lot about where consciousness is at collectively and individually and where we're at. I'm sure there probably are some people who are good candidates, but they're, off in a mountain somewhere, or they're 6 months old,
Right.
or whatever.
Right.
So that's basically it. Every person who's ever gone beyond, whether it was on substances or not, we all have the exact same conclusion. There's infinite consciousness. It's one thing. And it's impossible for that one thing to be one thing, because then there'd be nothing to experience it.
Mm-hmm.
So it has to, Nassim Haramein puts it in this great way where like infinity and finite have to coexist.
Mm-hmm.
There's no such thing as infinity there, because that is unexperienceable.
Yeah.
Right. So it implies that, and if you want to add the sort of like, are we living in a, what do people call it? A hologram or a projection, or people think we're in a freaking, what's the word?
Hologram. People would say hologram.
No. When they're saying we're in a simulation.
Oh, simulation.
Right?
Okay. Got you.
Which I'm not a big fan of people taking that so
literal, like computer. Yeah. Mechanistic.
But mechanically, it's probably somewhat accurate, in the same way that it's almost like God is astrally projecting.
Yeah.
All of these different experiences, etc.
Where I take issue with it is the sort of implication coming from some people that it's like evil archons are dictating what occurs in this reality, and they've set up a false reality to feed off of our loosh,
right?
Keep us trapped here. We reincarnate because we go to the light, and we aren't supposed to go to the light.
I can add some interesting nuance to that.
Yeah.
Because some of that seems to be kind of true, in the sense that, like, if you want to replace archon or like evil architect who's or demiurge, right, who like set it up in this way, could simply be another way to say limitation or severance. Like us actually being distinct means now I can't hear your thoughts. So that means I'm not fully connected with you, which means you can hurt my feelings.
Mm-hmm.
That's archonic, right? Another way to think of the archons is emotions. Like that, infinite consciousness set up all these parameters so that it could have these experiences. And in the same way that dreams are completely safe space for us to go do whatever, reality is that for God. So we're all going, oh no, war and deceit and all these bad things. And God just going, dude, this is the craziest dream I've ever had. Right? Because it's from a completely different scale of where we're experiencing that from. So, and then a lot of the NDE and the OBE experts and researchers are kind of landing on this notion that there's not a reincarnation trap, but when you die, you are there. And every NDE proves this. The moment you're dead, it's still you.
Mm-hmm.
Same bad sense of humor, same self-judgments, same beliefs, same everything for a time being. The longer you hang out in that space, the more you become more of the total you. Mm-hmm. There's like a dissolving stage. William Buhlman talks about that too. Like the longer you stay out of your body, right when you leave your body, you still have an energy body, and it's the shape of a person. And then that starts to drift off, and eventually you're literally just a unit of spherical awareness. Like that's it. And you can see in every direction and sense everything, instant thought responsive, everyone's psychic. And so, oh gosh, sometimes when you talk about this stuff, you kind of you go off into a thing, and I lose my train of thought because
I want to go into a lot of
things. A lot
of things.
But this notion, the reincarnation trap. is more likely this notion that there's a lot of people who die and and they're not awake.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right. You want to become, and people want to become enlightened, really just means you want to die as consciously as possible so that when you leave your body, you have access to all the choices you actually have access to. A lot of people, though, they die and they immediately plug right into what William calls like a consensus reality, which are these little astral pockets of like everyone who believes, everyone who's Hindu, when they die, kind of go into a Hindu-based afterlife to not disrupt their experience so much. And so they can keep, moving along in what's relevant to them. And Christians will do that thing, and this will do that thing, etc.
I've always thought that. That's so wild.
Yeah, that's what it seems like they're discovering. And then this notion of, oh, don't go into the light, they're just going to suck you back. It's like the goal is to actually have that choice. And apparently when you do die, you can literally choose whatever you like, but you may not have access to that choice in the same way that while you're alive, you're too sleepy, you're too inconsistent, you're too ignorant, you're going to miss out on some choices.
Yeah. That makes sense when you put it like that.
Yeah.
It's just
one last piece.
Yeah, go.
Because if I was an infinitely conscious being that lives in an instantly thought responsive environment, and I want to be able to do that well, I would want to set myself up for a game where I don't get to leave until I'm ready or until it makes sense. Like I would not, if every person who died just became a cosmic being with their thought responsiveness being we'd be asking for a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
So letting the earth kind of be this compost pile of consciousness to produce better and better and better soil and better awareness, that makes sense. And I'd sign up for that. I did. Here I am.
Yeah, here you are.
Yeah. But the evil part, that's the last thing I'll say that I find super fascinating is I have yet to see somebody who's left their body or had an NDE or did some crazy lucid dream work or whatever, and comes back and goes, oh my God, guys, there's these evil aliens that have set up this prison, and we're just like, there's notions of that, projections of their own stuff, but in the same way that everybody comes back with like, you're okay, it's gonna be okay, infinite loving consciousness, that's kind of it. And everything else seems like kind of, whatever, debris and stuff from their mental thing. But I find that very fascinating.
I think some of them would make the claim that, well, it's because they're tricking you into thinking that it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. That's
which I don't buy it.
It would be that'd be quite a mighty trick to be that loving. Yeah. What an interesting trick. And how ironic that evil is so good at being evil that it can be infinitely loving.
Yeah.
And that's the type of thinking that can shoot you out of your body, apparently. That's basically right. This goes back to that exact same thing. I was like, whoa, God made that too.
Yeah.
And it's infinite loving wisdom. So it must all be, what a great ploy to have us grow.
I want to talk about the William Beelman stuff now a little bit too, and then I want to get into more of your work, if that's okay. Just because you sent me that lecture from William Beelman that was so fascinating, and I admittedly have not looked into the Monroe Institute as much as I won't say that I should have, but it's something that like always was in my awareness, even before my quote unquote awakening in 2016, because I used to like obsessively research the CIA's declassified archives and like look into a lot of those things like Project Stargate or whatever it was called. I might be confusing that with the most recent thing that Trump administration's doing.
Like the Gateway tapes and stuff.
Yeah. And like, what's his name? Joseph McMonigal and all those guys who are remote viewing like some of those declassified CIA archives. But what was so fascinating that either they said on that lecture or you had indicated to me was some of these people have cultivated the ability in out-of-body experiences to be able to independently verify that they're having an out-of-body experience. Can you talk to me about that a little bit?
Yeah, I've heard a handful of different stories. things like, and I think even Robert Monroe was trying to, where it's like you leave a pencil just hanging off the edge of the table, and then you're going to try to leave your body and then knock it off the table. Or you have somebody write numbers on a piece of paper, leave it in the other room so you can go check and things like that. Yeah, that seems to happen.
But it was also something else about them, like, I don't know, like being able to meet each other out of body or something like that.
So yeah, people do that for sure.
Yeah.
I know that like Tom Campbell and Robert Monroe were having those experiences, I'm pretty sure. I met Robert Monroe in a dream space that was really interesting, in a restaurant that had a bunch of famous people in it, who all would have been people that probably lucid dreamed or did OBs. And apparently at one of the, the gateway process has all these different, what do they call them? Levels. And at one of the levels I was reading about it, there is like a cafe or something that everyone meets at, which was just interesting. And I had the experience before reading about that. Right. Anyways, so just fun little things like that.
That's wild.
But yeah, I think we're going to start seeing that more and more. People being able to like have these kind of confirming experiences. A lot of people think that they are co-dreaming, but they're just projecting the dream. But you can co-dream for sure.
Have you done that before?
In an interesting way, I told this story at Confluence as well, really, really quick. So I'm working at a coffee shop with my buddy, super weird guy. We're like, all right, tonight's the night. We're gonna do it. So I go and have a dream where we're hanging out in front of my house. He's there with his truck, and he keeps kind of like putting his wrist against the truck and on the ground. He's just kind of like feeling it out. And of course I'm just like freaking. I'm like, bro, we're doing it. We're in the dream. Isn't this cool? And he's kind of, you can tell sometimes when you're like talking to a NPC in your dream, basically, because they're kind of like, yeah, sure. What do you say? Okay. They're not contributing anything.
Yeah.
So I wake up, I go to work, and I'm walking up to the cafe, the coffee shop, and he's behind the counter with his hand on the wall, feeling out his wrist, doing the exact same thing he was doing in the dream.
Wow.
I walk right up to him like, bro, I'm waiting for him to be like, dude, we did it. And he's like, what's up, man? And I'm like, dude, you were in my dream last night and you were doing, and he's like, oh, I totally forgot about that. Like I was at a concert. He went to like a concert that night, sprained his wrist, and then probably just had a great night and like dropped it. But the fact that the wrist thing is kind of,
I wonder if you were remote viewing in your dream.
Sure.
Or like astral projecting or something.
What I would theorize is we shared an intention.
Yeah.
We probably hugged it out. We were in each other's field. We set that in motion. So I was kind of keeping access to some of his field while I was asleep. So I was getting accurate information from that.
That's wild. It's just so crazy trying to differentiate. Like, is it that shared experience? Like, I don't even know if it's relevant to differentiate, but for me it is. Like, I want to figure out how it works,
Yeah. I've given up on that a long time because it's so amorphous and there's evidence for every angle, every time. And again, similar with like interpreting dream. What does that mean? What is it?
Yeah.
I've dropped all of that and replaced it for the feeling.
Yeah.
Mostly because it just feels like you're getting this more direct access to like what you're hoping you're going to get by knowing what it means. Mm-hmm. You're just wanting to integrate the experience. So when people ask, what does this mean that I had this dream? My question is always, how did you feel in the dream? And how did you feel right when you woke up? And then how do you feel about the fact that you felt that way? Because you might, in the dream, you might have felt hopeless. And then while you're awake, you might feel embarrassed that you were hopeless in that experience, or et cetera. So all of that is giving you really valuable insight.
Yeah.
But there's no way you're going to know why the elephant had 3 ears and why the rock was, like all those types of things. Totally. You might find them. You might, oh crap, but even that is just a lot. Humans we're way too good at that. We're totally good at just making stuff up and to make ourselves feel better and coming up with these things, right?
Yeah, dude.
Versus being like, man, that feeling in that dream was super confronting and I was super vulnerable, or I can't believe how pissed I actually am at that person. I didn't think I was that pissed at them. That's really valuable insight.
Yeah.
If there is one true archon, it's emotional suppression, right? I was just saying their emotions, but it's really like all the negative emotions. There's no such thing as negative emotions. There's repressed emotions, and then the results of that, which we call negative emotions or negative behaviors, right? So that's probably the deepest type of insight you can get, is being honest about how you actually feel.
Mhm.
And dreams kind of remove that layer a lot of the time. And you might realize like, whoa, I really am in love with that person, or whoa, I really am absolutely livid about this thing. And that's what we really want to glean from dreams, more so than trying to make it all make sense.
Yeah. That's helpful to hear.
Yeah.
I think I was going to ask a bunch of other questions related to,
Yeah.
to dreams.
That's what always happens. It's like, what do you think this means when this happens? Or what does this mean? And I
think we should just leave it at that. Though.
It was great at my workshop at Confluence, where once we started to get to the end, it's like you feel my guard coming down. So all the questions start pouring in, and they're all just, well, I had this dream where this happened. And what does that mean? And my response each time is just, sounds like you had a dream. That's what happened,
good.
you know?
Well, mine, okay. Can I ask
you
one of them?
yeah.
Okay.
It's still fun.
It's not like related to dream interpreting.
Okay.
Because you brought up NPCs and dreams.
Yeah.
Have you distinctly come across at any point in your dreams situations where you had a knowing that, oh, that individual that I'm seeing in the dream is also conscious?
Yeah, a few.
Okay.
So part of my trauma and my journey has given me a very like independent type of, that's why I didn't even graduate high school. I got to learn things on my own. Even if someone like hands me the thing, like I'm going to consider how I'm going to build this thing before looking at the instructions to confirm that I had the right idea about building it. And then that helps me learn. Right.
Yeah.
So for the longest time, I've intentionally held the notion, like, I don't want a lot of influence in that space. I don't need my guides showing up or these other beings or da.
You want it to be fully you.
Yeah. I just, that feels important. And then if for whatever reason that does want to happen, I trust that it will happen in a way that is like attuning to me and isn't just trying to disrupt, and something that some interdimensional wise being already gets that anyways. They're not going to, but me holding that intention is one thing. So I haven't had a lot of those. I've had a lot more of them in the last few years. And there's a whole other story, which we probably don't even want to have time for, but my dog is one of my dream guides, which is
dude, like your dog that you have right
literally,
now.
Yeah,
wow.
Literally. All right. We might have to tell this story.
Okay. You can't just say it. Anyway.
Okay. So these guys have a line of mushroom essences. So you've heard of flower essences. Yeah. They make essences for mushrooms.
Hold that up for the camera.
Yeah. Yeah. Fruitingbodies.co. Best mushroom supplement company in the world. And we're the only people that carry these line of mushroom essences created by Robert Rogers, who's up in Canada. We partnered with him. So if you think of flower essences, they are solar energy, right? Comes out during the day, flower. People will take those often for physical ailments, right? A sprained ankle, a headache, a cough, or whatever it is. Mushrooms, they're made under lunar energy, under like specific full moons and different, like it's super alchemical. I don't even know the whole process. It's very in depth. And they work with the emotional side of things, the psyche side of things. So all the indications on these mushroom essences are going to say things like anxiety or addictions or racism even, or judgment.
There's literally one for racism?
Yeah, cordyceps actually helps with addiction and racism.
Wow. I'm
pretty sure it's cordyceps. It might be shiitake, actually.
Okay.
I don't remember. But you can go to the website and see them all. And so I had been helping them designing the labels and the marketing and all this stuff, learning about all these, getting really excited about them. I'm like, man, I can't wait to actually do the protocol and try them. So you do 4 drops under your tongue for a full lunar cycle. And I chose 3 of them. You do 3 at a time, up to 3. And one of them I chose was bird's nest. And the only indications on bird's nest is lucid dreams and flying. So I'm like, okay, let's take the lucid dream one just to blast me off even further, right? And then the other 2 I took, one was about like pineal gland, karma, indoctrination, religion, like wanting to like clear up anything's up here. And then the other one was more like love and sexual and like lower stuff. So I start the protocol. The first week of taking these, every dream I had, I woke up that morning, super vivid dreams. Most of them were kind of like lucid enough, but not where I'm trying to do anything. I'm just rolling with it. And I'd wake up perfectly connected to the exact emotion that dream was meant for me to be with. Like just a clean little freaking presence sitting right on my heart as soon as I wake up, where I'd be like, whoa, wow, okay. And I could just sit there and perfectly integrate. And so it just smoothed out the whole thing on a silver platter. That was the first week. And then at the start of the second week, for the first time ever, well, that's not true. A few other times, there's been a being in my dream where I'm like, oh, that's probably one of my dream guides. Because they're just like chilling. Mm-hmm. They're just there. And they're like, you're like, that's, that thing is like, you can just feel it. It's hard to tell. Yeah. You can just feel it. And
it's not a construct of your dream. It's in your dream.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So this time though, I have, for the first time ever, a dream guide show up, and it's this female figure. She just kind of almost looked like in like a Mission Impossible movie, the like spy chick who's kind of badass, who's like got it all together, cracks the jokes and stuff. She had that kind of archetype going on. And of course, as soon as she's attractive, as soon as I see her, I have a instant thought response of like, oh, you're attractive. And then she immediately gives me this like, that's not what we're doing. Like, that's not what this is about. Just immediately diffuses it. And I'm like, okay, dream people don't do that. This is something else. And we get to talking, and I'm freaking out because I'm getting so excited. So I have to like keep calming myself down, and we're trying to connect. I'm like, okay, well, I know this isn't going to last very long. So like, how do I call you back if we want to talk again, or how does this work? And she told me how to summon her, and she gave me her name and gave me this like hand gesture that I do. So I wake up and I write all that down. The name was a word I'd never heard before. And just for fun, and it's some like random word. The way she said it was Tefero. The way I spelled it when I woke up was Tepheroth. So the F part was the PH. And some words end with like Tefheroth.
Yeah.
And hopefully some people listening already had it click. But I go to ChatGPT and I'm like, is this word anything like in another language or something? And it goes, bro, this is an alternative spelling of Teferet, the heart of the Kabbalistic tree of life.
Whoa.
And I was like, well, that's cool. I don't study Kabbalah. I've probably read that word at some point. So it's deep in my subconscious somewhere. I've looked at the tree of life. I've read the words. But even the alternative spelling, like, why wouldn't I have just thought of if I was just making it up, right? So that was just an interesting confirmation. I go to sleep the next night. I say her name. I do the gesture. She shows up. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting. And then we're talking some more. And of course, I'm just trying to like gather I'm like, okay, so I guess I have a dream guide now. Okay, have you been here the whole time? Like, how does this work? And I'm just trying to, and she's just kind of like amused, I guess. So for the second week of this protocol with the mushroom essences, that's how well they work. Like, it literally got me in touch with a dream guide. 2 weeks in,
I thought you were going to say that was your dog in like human form in your dream. And I was like, that's wild.
No, you'll see. You'll see. Okay. So 2 weeks in, during the middle of the day, I spontaneously decide to kind of have a little ceremony with myself, not with drugs, but just like, I like to just line myself up sometimes. Sometimes it's like mirror work for a little bit. I'm like checking in. Sometimes I'm close my eyes. I'm dropping in. Usually I'm just kind of acknowledging the four directions. And then I'm like, great, I just set a tone and now I'm talking to life. I'm talking to myself. I'm talking to God, whatever. And the main intention was simply like, hey, let's just like I'm pretty damn clear on who I am and where I'm going and how I want this to look. So to whatever degree that needs to like line up with anything else, or if you got better plans, let me know. Like, it was just a nice little like attunement session. Let's just line stuff up. I'm all in. I love my life. I'm here to serve. Let's freaking go. Just kind of lining myself up. / like that Joe Dispenza piece where he's like, and if you'd like to, show me in a way I wouldn't even anticipate, like surprise me, like show me I'm on the right path, etc. So I do that. The very next day, I'm on my way to go play Dungeons and Dragons with Brandon and Kevin and the whole crew. We've been doing this every week now for a few weeks. So we all drive to Noah's house. We park in the apartment complex and we just walk in. For some reason this time, I had the intuition. Well, I was listening to this band called Phineas, which is a super awesome, like heavy metalcore band that's Christian. So they're singing about Jesus and stuff, and it's super intense and beautiful. And Brandon gets out of his car and was like, dude, come here. You got to come listen to some of these. So we spend synchronistically an extra 15 minutes in my car that we never would have on any other Sunday going to do D&D. Okay. As soon as I open the door, there's a dog sitting right there. And then some guy on the sidewalk, and he's like, oh, hey, is that your dog? I was just walking around. I'm like, no. He's like, it's not my dog. I'm trying to get some lunch. And he just kind of walks off. Not in like a dismissive way. And it wasn't him like ditching the dog. That was clear. And I was like, okay, that's a cute freaking dog. Well, how about she could probably just hang out with us for the day, and then we'll figure out, she probably lives with someone here in the apartment or whatever. She had no collar, no chip. So I gave her my intuition was like, you're going to give her one chance, one little, come on, like, you want to come with us? And you met her. She immediately, she's like, okay, cool. What's up? What are we doing? I'm like, well, we're going to sit inside for the next 8 hours and play Dungeons and Dragons. Hopefully you're down with that. She sat on my lap basically the whole time. Within an hour was drinking water, eating food, rolling on her back, doing the whole thing. She just loving life. By the end of that session, I had ordered a leash, flea shampoo, dog food. I'm like, I'm in. We're doing it. Meanwhile, we're going to, we emailed the apartment complex to ask everybody, Nobody claimed her. I take her home that night. I go to bed and I go to call my dream guide. And guess who comes running up to me in the dream? The dog. I have not seen my dream guide since. In fact, she doesn't show up when I call her. The dog shows up every time. And I've even had dreams now where super awesome, like world ending, like Avengers Endgame dreams where one team's running at the other team and she just comes running up beside. It's like she's in there for all these epic moments. But it's basically, you could argue a few different things. One, dream guides aren't real. It's just a dog. You're making a whole story out of this, whatever. But it's also, again, the power of the psyche, because at the same time that I'm wanting to practice going out of body, knowing that can burn me out, knowing that I have the proclivity to maybe like hang out a little too much already up here. The moment I finally do one of the most like esoteric, spiritually, energetically interesting things I could do, like have an actual relationship with a guide, it turns itself into a physical being that makes sure I'm going outside 3 to 5 times a day, completely on my routine again, caring about something other than myself, totally, and this dog came preloaded, perfect, potty trained, learns every command, like has been a 0 issue pup. Mm-hmm. Other than now she's afraid of this like animal skin that Jess brought home to have in her office. So we have to like train her to, get used to that. But she's basically now like this grounding rod for me though. Like my dream work has gotten even more significant and more in depth. And I can feel, I'll be in a dream, like walking on a beach and feeling like fuzziness on my leg. And then I wake up and she's like laying right there, snugged up to my leg. So anyways, very long story, but my dog is my dream guide, and the mushroom essences gave me that whole experience. So I should probably start answering when people are like, oh, how to start lucid dreaming. Get the bird's nest mushroom essences from these guys.
We'll throw that in the show notes too. Yeah. That's epic. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Most healthcare today operates on an outdated mechanistic model, treating the body like a battlefield rather than a self-healing system. You wait months for an appointment only to receive a rush diagnosis that labels you rather than truly understanding your unique health. Even in holistic health, many practitioners rely on endless lab tests and supplement protocols, addressing symptoms instead of the root cause. And the result? Another prescription or supplement regimen that merely suppresses or masks symptoms rather than facilitating true healing, whether the imbalance was physical, emotional, energetic, or a mix of all three. And that's why Dr. Tom Cowan co-founded the New Biology Clinic, to offer something radically different. As one of the most respected natural health doctors in the world, Dr. Cowan has spent decades challenging conventional medicine and advancing a deeper understanding of human biology, water, and natural health. His work isn't just about rejecting the mainstream, it's about offering a more truthful, biologically coherent approach for healing. The New Biology Clinic recognizes that health isn't about fighting disease, it's about restoring balance. You're not a diagnosis, you're an individual with a unique story, and healing should honor that. With virtual consultations available worldwide, the clinic offers a flat-rate monthly membership that gives you direct access to practitioners who take the time to actually listen. Members also get exclusive health live streams, a resource library, and live sessions covering everything from biofield tuning and breathwork to movement and meditation, all designed to support whole body healing. And if you're not ready for a membership, you can book a one-time appointment, sign up for an enrichment-only membership for the healing modalities alone, or schedule a free connection session with one of the care team members to see how the New Biology Clinic can help in your specific situation. This isn't about keeping you dependent on doctors. It's about making you sovereign over your health. Head to newbiologyclinic.com and use code THEWAYFORWARD, and that's spelled The Way, F-O-R-W-A-R-D, for $50 off account activation, or just head to the show notes for more info. If you're a member of The Way Forward, email hello@thewayforward.com for $150 off. Your body already knows how to heal, and New Biology Clinic helps you remember. There's a recent poll that I put out on all my social media channels, and 95% of people responded that they're struggling to find their health and freedom community in person. And don't get me wrong, these platforms, these devices that you're listening to or watching this podcast on right now are great for helping to disseminate information, helping us, find like-minded people to validate us, but they are not a replacement for real in-person community. At the core of our new community platform is a powerful, easy-to-use map helping you to instantly connect with like-hearted, like-minded community, including men and women, farms, schools, practitioners of all types, and other businesses near you. The platform also includes groups, social functions, messaging, and Platinum members also get access to our content library with footage from all of our in-person and virtual events like Confluence and the end of COVID, as well as breathwork sessions, Qigong sessions, member Q&As, and also member community calls. So if you'd like to support this podcast and support our mission of helping people to connect hyper-locally in person, and also obviously support yourself in the process, go to the show notes or just go to thewayforward.com/join. And again, the way forward is spelled the way, FWRD.com/join to become a member today. Help us build the way forward for mankind. Okay, I think we've talked about dreaming and I say this in a relative fashion enough. For me, it's not enough. Legitimately, there's so many, because I won't even get into it, but I was going to bring up a lot of the stuff from Carlos Castaneda's work and seeing distortions in dreams. And that's, I guess, a portal into another dimension within the dream. And I'll set all that aside. Mm-hmm. We can talk about that another time. Sure. I think it would be cool to leave off on this though, just because my son has some incredibly insightful things to say sometimes. I've shared this on a number of episodes that oftentimes when he's either laying under the stars with me or looking out the window on a long car ride, just reflecting, looking at nature, he just gets these incredible insights from God, really. And so this is the most recent one. This was actually in this month. He said, "Dad, what if when we go to sleep and we have a dream, our souls go to heaven and the air turns into things?" I think of that as the
ether. Yeah,
the ether turning into things. He says, and the air turns into things that look real. And then before we wake up, we go back into our bodies.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Pretty cool. Pretty cool for a 7-year-old to say.
He's so cool.
Yeah. He said some pretty amazing stuff. So off camera, and this sort of relates to back in your time of diving down these conspiratorial rabbit holes, you talked about a vow that you made to yourself. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I'd mentioned the absolute blessing of synchronicity, someone putting the Loose Change documentary right in my mailbox. What that actually turned into was me and this group of friends trying to piece all this together. Like, what the heck is going on in the world? And we became obsessed with researching, and we actually started a website called madutu.com, which is Sumerian for the word knowledge. And we basically wanted it to be like Facebook, YouTube, but the only content on there is like consciousness expanding stuff. So it was my job to like find content on the internet and then put it onto this website. So over the course of a whole summer, I became, and that's why people I was like ChatGPT before ChatGPT was, right? And people want to pick my brain on a million different things.
People definitely treat you that way.
Yeah. And it's because I'm like 16, 17 years old, and I just start filling my brain with all of these things. But then you start to stumble into very obvious facts like the US throws out enough food every year to like feed every hungry person on the planet twice over. That's kind of weird. Like that. And that was my first time. Like, well, that's so weird. Like, why would we do that? That doesn't make any sense. And then you learn there's like more empty houses than there are homeless people. You're like, okay, well, that's kind of weird. Why would we do that? And then you learn like every war is a banker's war. And, we're all wage slaves and debt slaves and all these things. And I was like, oh, it's like that because certain people decided for it to be that way. Okay, well, that's intense. But that also sounds kind of solvable because it's just a person who made a decision. So at that point, once I realized like the world is pretty screwed up, about as screwed up as it could possibly be. Daniel Vitalis has this great quote where he's like, it can't get any worse. Like, we literally shit in our clean drinking water. No one's ever breathed air that wasn't polluted as far as our generation's concerned. It's like, it's as bad as it could possibly get. We're afraid of each other. So all that kind of clicked while simultaneously learning about all these solutions, right? I'm studying all these things, and you go down, you watch Architects of Control by Michael Tessarion, and you're like, holy crap, they got us. But then you also watch like, what the bleep do you know? And you're like, oh, maybe it's kind of malleable in quantum or something. And then you watch it, right? So I'm like developing all these different kind of pillars of what the heck's going on. But it led me to this conclusion of like, great, the only thing worth doing with my life is trying to make it all better and trying to contribute. I'm aware of so many solutions like that other people aren't aware of. And it seems pretty damn easy to be aware of what is illusion, like with the 9/11 stuff or whatever. And I was one of those guys for a while where we're like driving around with a megaphone, like just screaming, 9/11 was an inside job. It felt so liberating. Yeah. Even though, of course, everyone hated it, and it's probably the least effective way to get it out there.
Served you for a time, though.
It was very valuable.
Yeah. At least you're doing it like as a teenager and not as like a 35-year-old or something.
Heck yeah. And I was in a band too. So we made our own t-shirts that said it. So I'd be on stage playing music and like I just felt so super cool. Yeah. And it felt important, Like, why wouldn't, if you don't want to get super loud about the truth and people needlessly suffering, right? Then what the heck are you doing?
Yeah.
So that was kind of the fork in the road that set me off into everything else. And at that point, I was like, there's no way I'm even going to finish this high school stuff. This is an absolute waste of time. I'm going to keep researching the things that I want to. And the synchronicity of that led me to start my first YouTube channel when I was, I think, 19. The very first video I ever put up was me reading off a list of all these quotes from famous presidents, military generals, all talking about like the shadow government and the hidden hand behind. And it's like, wait, Benjamin Franklin said something about that, and George Washington said something about that. And so that's where I was at. I was like, you guys, they got us, but they can't keep getting us because we have the internet now. We need to like do something about this. And then at that point too, I was vegan and got caught up in that thing, but for the same intention, like it felt like that's what's healthy and that's what's going to make the planet healthier and less suffering and all these types of things. And then you wake up from that too. But it like started this cascade of events where eventually, again, through sheer synchronicity, starting this YouTube channel, had a subscriber invite me to come help her at a festival she was going to. And then via that festival, I got to meet a mentor who connected me with a group of people. And I left that festival to move in with those people. And then by privy of just being with those people, we got invited to a Nassim Haramein lecture in Ojai, which was the first time I met Mickey. and elevate and that whole thing. So just by virtue of me wanting to like, someone put the 9/11 DVD and turned me into this truth seeker who then had to express himself on the internet, which galvanized some following. And then that led me to like, do you see like just that connection all the way to the pandemic piece where it's like I got to like fulfill on one level, like I want to change the world and have massive impact. I used to want to like be the next Tony Robbins and have millions of followers and all this stuff. And I've settled that down. It's like, oh no, I'd rather coach the guy who's got the millions of followers. Yeah. But it still was amazing. Everyone wants to be a famous YouTuber when you're on YouTube, but I kind of left that route, but being able to eventually make a film that is the most seen piece of media ever made. It was kind of like a crazy string of events with a million pieces in between then of all these other things that went viral with Mickey that I helped him with and things like that. And it was like this perfect sort of string of events. But it was
wasn't made clear. What he's talking about is he worked on the pandemic films.
Right. Part 1 and part 2.
Yeah.
Specifically. And the first part was just me and Mickey. So that rocked my world. It took us, I think, maybe 5 weeks of editing like a 6-hour interview into a 26-minute film. And then we just hit publish on his Facebook page and that was it. Like we weren't even trying to like do a thing. We were just like, dude, Judy Mikovits has an interesting story. This is pretty crazy. Anthony Fauci's got a very interesting story. She had a gag order as a result of Anthony Fauci and now she doesn't. We should probably talk about this. And that changed my life to know that like 2 dudes behind a computer could impact that many people in that way. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't have been in that position if I hadn't have had that vow. And I mean, I had every chance to like, you still want to try to go to college or you still want to do this or that. And there was just no way I could have done anything else.
At what point do you think you shifted from, because you used to have a YouTube channel that you have like, I looked the other day just because I was curious and you have at least one video that has like hundreds of thousands of views on YouTube.
Yeah.
At what point did you shift? Was it like a conscious decision that, hey, I want to help the people who are the big names, so to speak? Not that that matters, but yeah. I want to be the guy that's sort of in the background doing the work to help get them off the ground versus like, I want to be out in the spotlight. Because I've said this before, man, like, I don't know many people who have as much knowledge to share, like helpful, insightful knowledge to share in this sort of truth, health, and freedom space than you. Like there's very few other people who are as knowledgeable as you. And so
thanks.
Yeah, man. That's like, fun. So what's the decision to sort of be behind the scenes? Is it a conscious one or?
It's a bit of both. I'm sure part of it is just some nice, good old, taking my sweet ass time.
Yeah.
I've had the feedback my whole life that I'm probably, if I want to be famous or if I want to do the whole thing, I'm totally fine. And that sounds great and fun. And also with the kinds of things I want to be famous for, and I learned that through Pandemic, because nobody knows I did Pandemic.
That's what I was going to say.
So
though,
Mickey
like
got the brunt of all the stuff,
yeah.
which was I'm very grateful for, and he's also built for that too. That's his whole life since I've known him, is just people projecting onto him and him handling it really well. And yeah, I think it was a few different things. Like me helping other people is infinitely easier than helping myself. So that just helps me like lean to that. But then there's people who are doing, like, I love the lucid dreaming stuff, but our buddy Derek Lacey, he's the sleep guy. So I want to help him put his stuff out there so he can be the sleep guy. So I don't need to be the sleep guy, but I could be the sleep guy if I wanted to take that whole route. So it's like everyone has their own role and position. And sure, I'll keep doing my own unique little things that only I could do. But one of those things only I could do is help other people do their thing and like really get out of their own way. So once I started to realize that was so easy and natural for me to do, it's so fulfilling and hard not to like help someone who can heal people build a business around it, or help someone who has an amazing product line actually get it out in front of people and stuff like that. So it's consciously like a might as well decision. It's also just extremely fulfilling. And I'd much rather, if on a scale from 1 to 10, only make it to 5 because I created 100 other 8s and 9s than be a 10.
Got it.
Because like that just makes sense. because I've also learned to be good with too. So that's been part of my journey as well, like learning the hard way and losing it all and having to reset and being good with not needing, at one point, I basically manifested $100,000 in a 10-minute conversation and then spent the next 6 months sabotaging that out of my life and needing to totally reset, go back to zero, owe 20 grand.
Wow.
and have to sit with the question of like, what if I never have some global impact? What if I never make the world a better place? What if I lost all of that chance? And what if I just need to like go get a normal job and go get a normal relationship and just do the thing? Am I going to be okay with that? And I did integrate that. And obviously I'm not supposed to do that. But like, I've also like gone to those things. So it's not important to me anymore to like become something. And synchronistically, that's probably going to set me up to do some big, crazy shit. And that's basically how it's been running. So I'm happy to do it. I've had a lot of dreams too, that are some of the most impactful dreams where, it's like a self-sacrifice kind of thing. And I'm not trying to like sound any particular way.
No,
but
dude, you're not.
I just like to be sensitive to that because you hear people on a podcast, you're like, all right, who is this guy?
Yeah.
But yeah, dreams where you like, hey, there's this big black blobby stuff that's eating the whole planet, and the only way to save it is you got to jump into it and let it eat you too. And I instantly go, let's fucking go. Like that seems like the easiest choice ever, So I'm so here to not sacrifice myself, but use what I have available. Yeah.
You feel fulfilled, like helping fulfill other people.
It's the most
I see that in
thing.
you, man. Like I appreciated so much at Confluence because like no one else had done this, and not that I needed it, but I won't say, let me rephrase this. I didn't realize how much I needed it until it happened. Like I gave my talk, I poured myself into Confluence, as did Mike, Molly, Lindsay, and other people. And you like made a point to stop at the end of my talk and come up on stage and have everyone like honor me and how much I had poured into the event. And I'm like, it was really cool, man. Yeah. Thank you for doing that.
I can't not, you're welcome. It's so important to me. You use that term pouring into the event, which is true. And it's like, one of the questions that we had was like, what are one of the ways leaders you work with and people are unconsciously like, what's the pattern they all have deep down, or what's the thing that you realize? And it's something to that effect where you could have easily, naturally gone through the whole event and not even once let in somebody being like, Alec, this is changing my life. Like, this is one of the most important things that's ever happened to me. This means so much. And you'd be like, yeah, thank you. Oh, for sure. Totally. And you're also a unique breed where you're good at like, you can stop for a moment and receive someone and let it in. But
I'm working on it because I haven't always been that way.
Oh, I know.
Like,
I know.
A lot of the times, like I really struggled to receive because I felt unworthy of
and
receiving.
I remote viewed that about you. So I knew that I'm not lying, but
Oh, you for real?
Yeah. I get that about, like, I get that about you. And even if you weren't that way, I still like to push people's edges of being acknowledged and received and feeling loved in their community, being seen for what they're doing, like getting the value that they're giving everybody. And so for those who weren't there, didn't see it, at the end of Alec's talk, I'm sitting there on the side watching. He's got a room full of like 300, 400 people and another 200 outside watching it on like, it was just as packed as it could be. So I'm sitting there being like, all right, am I going to be like, who am I to disrupt Alec's entire event to go, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I trust who I am in that and made sure that we had an efficient, fun, enjoyable, silly little way, an impactful way to like give you a lot of love back. Right. And I feel like my life constantly puts me in that position where it's like, hey, nobody's saying anything. Are you going to say it? Like, oh, everybody, it's clear that the whole room, like, or you're at the party and you can tell everyone's like not enjoying how loud it is because the music's a little too high and everyone's just all up here when everyone would, and you can tell. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to turn the music off and I'll be like, hey, everybody. Yeah. How about like this? And everyone's like, oh yeah, thank you. And then we're good. That's leadership in a sense, right? It might seem very mundane, but imagine a whole world of everybody willing to like lean in and take that step up into those little moments, I think is a really big deal.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of my thing. I like helping other people, and everybody's got such distinguished roles at this point. There's some really, really developed people out there. But the more you become an expert in your particular role, often you miss some of these other things. And there's a lot of people, it's really easy to quote unquote create success or sell a product or build a podcast or do a thing, but people don't realize all the other little things they shut off in order to do that, right? Like just for you to come here and be in a great zone, in a great space, do a podcast with me, you're still kind of ignoring the fact that you haven't even stopped from Confluence, which is a skill for you to be able to do that. But then it's my job, like as soon as we're done, I'm going to be hounding you about how you're going to keep resting and take,
Well, perfect example of you being so good at what you do and so giving for other people. Like I feel like it's inherent to who you are. And I don't mean it in a like self-sacrificial way, because like you come across as very full of life. You know what I mean?
Sweet.
No, for real, you do.
Great. That's cool. Thank you.
What I'm getting at there is like you're not giving to others at sacrifice to yourself. Like you're so full that you pour into others naturally so well.
Yeah. And I have my own practice too. I'm definitely good at like, I've had seasons of life where I'm coaching multiple multimillionaires and not have any resource for myself. Right.
Yeah.
Cause but it's like the vision I have of where I'm about to get this person to matters so much more than what I might need to go do for myself. And then there's some shadow in that too. So I'm on this whole journey of kind of like having the me part run parallel, and cause the more my cup can overflow, the even easier it is for me to do that for everybody else too. So I've learned that from both sides for sure.
And it's cool that you have that awareness to recognize that too. And what I was getting at though is we were supposed to record this episode yesterday, and I didn't ask because I was like almost too scared to fully ask, but you put the invitation like, hey, you take the day for yourself to, because like I said at the beginning of this episode, moving and haven't really had a chance to reset since Confluence. So I really appreciated that too.
Of course.
But that leads into like the first question. You sort of answered it and brought it up a little bit, is like for people who are like high performers like me, I guess I'd like to consider myself a high performer, I guess you could say. What are the ways that we're, for lack of a better term, like sabotaging behind the scenes, or what are some unconscious patterns that many people like me have? Because you work behind the scenes with a lot of people like me who do things like I do.
Yeah. So I love and hate that this answer has been the answer for the whole 15 years. I've been like a coach or a strategist, facilitator, whether it's doing events or people work with me one-on-one, online, whatever it is. I call them the does. Like, duh, like get a good night's sleep, stop eating stupid shit, spend good quality time with quality people, go outside, drink water, like literally those. Done well, do it all. And there's a few, like move your body, just the does. Like that actually is it. And most high performers are able to specifically, we have this laser pointer part of our focus where we're like, great, I'm going to start a world-class podcast. Okay, go. And for whatever reason, it's happening as the result of other things not happening.
Yeah.
So as long as we can get that and are willing to balance it, then it's not as big of a deal. But what a lot of high performers do after a decade of that is they just normalize it. Like that's just who I am. Oh, I just don't sleep well. Oh yeah, we just get takeout every night because we're just so busy and even though I have acid reflux and all this stuff, And they'll start to, that's actually like sacrificing yourself and your own health for this. It's like, but I have the results. Like it's all happening. Like that got me this. And that's the epitome of what got you here won't get you there. Mm-hmm. You might absolutely be able to build a massive, awesome business specifically by not getting enough sleep and having a caffeine addiction. But once that business is doing well, and now it requires you to think kind of more laterally and build more relationally and all these other things, that sleep and the caffeine is actually going to get in the way of that. So if it's like build week or it's like Confluence starts tomorrow, well, guess what? We are going to get jacked up today and make sure this thing happens. There's a time and a place. And you could do that with a cordyceps tincture, or you could do it with cocaine. They're both going to jack you up, right? So it's also
Right.
a matter of what you're choosing in that. So that it's not some crazy answer. It's like most high performers get in their way because they don't, they're not a high performer about the fundamentals.
Yeah. That makes
So
a lot
that's
of sense.
usually the first work with people. It's like, when's the last time you made yourself go to sleep at 8 p.m. and don't wake up until 8 a.m.?
I
Like a
can't
12-hour
say
reset. Yeah, that's what you need ASAP.
Yeah.
And
100%.
just the value of making yourself do it will shift you somewhere, because you're like, whoa, I've never done this before. Right. And everyone watching, like listening, it's like, you've maybe never done this before too. I do that like at least once a month.
You do?
Preventatively, right? Like rest before you're tired, eat before you're hungry. Like don't go grocery shopping while you're hungry. Right. And then we're expecting ourselves to go do all kinds of things that we haven't like built the capacity to do that.
You know, I say this so much with respect to health too. When people are asking me like they're dealing with X, Y, and Z thing, what should they do? I go back to those literal exact same fundamental things, which is so ironic because, and this is just a phase in my life. We had a baby. We also moved, also had Confluence all around the exact same time.
Yeah.
So like, I'm definitely needing to, I want to say, I see the tendency in me to be like, okay, as soon as I'm finished moving in our house, it's like, no. This needs to start happening now. And you can slowly move in at the same time too.
Yeah. It's, so
it's just so funny how like quick we are to put those fundamentals so fucking vitally important as brushing your teeth or eating on the back burner.
It's the archons, dude. They make it.
You know what I mean? Though, like,
yeah,
it's fucking crazy. Because like those are the things, just like you said, those are the things that we as human beings need to be consistently doing.
Yeah. And I think they're also the first to go, because it's kind of taught to us that way, right? It's glorified in culture in a lot of ways, and our parents exemplify it for us. And, so we do need to break that pattern. In my men's group, I teach this premise called fractal mapping. Okay. So everyone listening to this knows what a fractal is.
Mm-hmm.
But a great example most people don't realize is you take something like a mountain, and if you take a big ass boulder off that boulder is technically like a mini mountain. And technically that mountain is just a bunch of those all clumped together.
Mm-hmm.
Then you take a rock off the boulder. Same thing. Then you take a pebble off the rock. Same thing. Grain of sand from the pebble. If you zoom in at a grain of sand the right way, it looks like a mountain, because they're all made out of the same thing. Okay. So we take things like, I need to sleep well and eat well and relate well and emote well and all these things, and we think of the mountain version of it. So you're like, yeah, once everything's done, then I can be a pro sleeper and a pro. You need the grain of sand version of it, right? James Clear in the Atomic Habits book, which is a phenomenal book on habits, where he talks about you don't need to build a habit of going to the gym. You need to build the habit of like getting in your car to drive to the gym. Like it, or, more specifically, like in the men's group, we'll say, if you want to be the guy with the 6-pack abs, you need to be the guy that takes a walk every day.
Mm-hmm.
Like make it a winnable game and make it something super simple. So for you, it could just be like tonight, it'll be 11 p.m. and you'll be like wired and tired, and you could probably keep going. And maybe you and Kylie could be talking about some stuff, or she's already asleep, whatever it is. And then you're going to sit there and be like, all right, well, I could do another 30 minutes and check my email and do this, or I could do this other thing, or I could like start the momentum in that other direction and like let myself wind down and let myself get there. Just that is the mountain that you're hoping for, but it's like the approachable way to get to it.
I think the hard thing as a dad is when you have 3 kids, and it's, Kylie and I talk about this all the time, like the balance of knowing you have 3 other beings to care for sometimes leads you to sacrificing so much of your needs to care for those other beings. Cause like, I'm really aware of that I didn't have the best parents. So I want to show up as a really good parent, but sometimes that comes at sacrificing myself. And then you also see your partner struggling to like get her needs met. So then you want to sacrifice yourself to help her. But then you get to a point where it's like, holy shit, like I am so self-sacrificial that I'm not meeting my own needs and I feel like absolute dog shit. So then it almost becomes a like, hard line in the sand abruptly, like, no,
Right.
I need to go do this for myself right
Yep.
now. And
Yep.
that can be very shocking rather than consistently
Mhm.
doing little things
Right.
for yourself.
Or
So you don't get to
meeting
that point.
that intention with like more appropriately, because you're also trying to fulfill something by being so sacrificial,
Yeah.
right? Because you're like, oh, sacrificing myself is how I'm going to take care of everybody, but I'm also getting something by doing it that way.
Yeah.
And you got to check in with that guy,
That's
because I don't think he
point.
needs that anymore, because you're aware that that's unsustainable.
Yeah.
And what we learned from our parents, right? We got to remember, like, I always used to hate my dad for being so rageful and angry and physically and verbally abusive sometimes, until I grew up and realized, oh, I've never once experienced my dad being angry. I've experienced my dad's lack of being with his anger. I'm experiencing the reactive outburst as the result of the suppression.
Yeah.
So like every shitty pattern our parent gave us could only come from an unintegrated part of themselves, where they're depleted, they're afraid, they don't have enough, they're stuck in their own stuff. So we've never even experienced our parents. We experience like how you've been feeling like, man, I feel like I'm empty. That's what we got. So we didn't even get them. We got a handicapped version of them.
Yeah. Wow.
So you can not carry on the pattern from your parents by, right, having your cup be full, which is the thing they weren't able to do. And again, easier said than done. And it's also the shadow form, just to add another little thing, like the shadow side of the nuclear family model, because a nuclear family is not a community.
That's
Right.
a good point.
It's good to have units of those in a community. But that kind of solves all of this stuff.
Totally
Like
does.
if we had 20 or 30 people we're familiar with, where we get to dance around the fire every night and talk about our day and let go of the emotions. Hey, is there anything you need tomorrow? Hey, how's the kids? Hey, we're going to do a sleepover tonight so you guys can sleep and da. It's like, boom.
I've
totally
talked about
set and
that
done.
so much, dude, on the
Yeah.
show. Like, that's such a huge piece of it
Yeah.
too. And I'm grateful that we moved to where we moved to, because we do have a little bit more of a community. We're just still in the process of transitioning.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it really does go back to like what you said about the mountain versus the pebble. I am looking at it like, okay, I need to,
Because you're a high performer.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I'm all or nothing. So I
Yeah.
need to get back into doing like everything that I was doing just before,
Yeah.
even before.
Let's climb the mountain. And I'm like,
yeah.
let's do some of the stretches
Yeah.
that we'll want to do before we climb the mountain in
Yeah.
a year from now.
Yeah, totally.
Work your way up.
You want to talk about ritual reboot?
Sure.
Or what do you want to talk
Sure.
about next?
Well, I did bring up the men's group just for a moment,
Yeah.
and it's worth shouting out. It's called Masterful Man, masterfulman.com. Love that I bought that domain and then didn't start the group for like 2 years because I didn't deserve it. I knew that was a very tall order, right? And masterful doesn't mean perfect. I define mastery as a practice, like a devotional practice, essentially. And in the same way that like a doctor has a practice, right? It's like, wait, they already reached it. They have the credentials. They still have a practice. It's like, yeah, because you should treat it, like that way. And, all men deep down are high performers, and all men deep down self-sacrifice, right? So it's like, we have an incredible group of guys in there, and we actually do a dopamine detox as part of the protocol. So Masterful Man's based around, we have this 8-week initiation program that each guy starts with. And, initiation has been kind of removed from Western modern culture. So that's super important. And it's based around inner mastery, physical mastery, sexual mastery, and leadership mastery. Inner being your identity, your belief systems, your emotions, your emotional intelligence. How do you talk to yourself? Who do you even think you are? Which is really the master level program of the subconscious, is the identity, right? I have this belief about this thing is actually you saying, because I believe I am this, I'm only able to see that in this way. So when you change the I am part, right, it cascades down to everything else. So that's huge. And then the sexual mastery part, which is like, is really just, handling that aspect of your life, but it just relates to dating and women and relating in general, but also like having that stuff in check. We're definitely like an anti-porn group. and pro, conscious utilizing of that energy and not just being a sleazeball and letting it, most guys are just led from that their whole life. Easier said than done. And that's been a huge part of the dream work for me too. Like there's a 1-for-1 of me handling it in my dreams and then cleaning it up in my real life. Because in the dreams, it's so easy to just do whatever you want to. You could be the craziest guy you want to be.
So like in the lucid dream, not to get back into the dream. So like in lucid dreams, you fulfilled that so much that you were like, what
I'm sure I could have kept going. I'm sure I could have gone.
But my point is you got to the point of like finally reflecting on this is like absurd. Like you started reflecting on your like desires.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And the impulse control, just literally, where you can instantly have a harem of whatever, because it's just you. And then I'm like, okay, and I'm still going to say no. That's like, I dare any guy to do that. It's really hard. It took me a couple of years of like having to will the choice, and it completely changed my psyche. It's a big deal.
So cool.
So the men's group is great. We really are just trying to create leaders. We're trying to create men who, I define leadership as intention aligned action. If you have intentions for your life and you are acting that way, you are in a space of leadership. And everyone has to lead themselves before. Even a leader had to make himself get out of bed and take the shower and get ready and be in a good mood and be ready to deliver, right? So it's all self-leadership. And it's clear now with the pandemic and things that happen, it's like we need a world where men are trusting themselves to be leaders. We have a guy in the group, Dustin, who's an absolute legend. Loves your show, by the way. Shout out to Dustin.
Thank you, Dustin.
He was living in Asheville with the latest storm and everything, right? And he could have easily just been a victim to it, but he's the guy who's driving around and getting water to other people and helping fix stuff and helping like keep that community afloat. And, I'm not saying we did that, but it's like, that's the kind of guys that we want. So I'm glad he's in the group because we need men to be that way. And we've been doing that for like 5 years now. And
you do multiple iterations, or like you do an 8-week initiation?
We've done it
right?
a few different ways. We used to just do it was just a one-off 8-week experience. Now it's a year-long commitment that starts with an 8-week initiation.
Got it.
Yeah.
Cool. Really cool.
Yeah.
Epic. And that's available for anyone to sign up at any time?
That's right.
Epic.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool, man. That'll all be in the show notes for people who are watching or listening. Yeah. Okay. So is Ritual Reboot a part of that?
So we basically taken my Ritual Reboot course and put it into the initiation, because that course is all basically based around guiding you through a 7-day dopamine detox while simultaneously teaching you kind of more like holistic productivity techniques. So it's like it's like, oh, you got to be off your screens and be off your computer and all this. And people are like, dude, I run my whole life off that stuff, so I can't just not do it. So I had to figure that out too. Yeah. How do we make these things be so front and center in our life, but just not be controlled by them? And everybody deserves an actual break. So you can go full monk mode for the 7 days, which is none of anything. And everyone deserves to do that. I dare every person who's watching this right now to try to just put your phone away for the rest of today. Even if it's 8 p.m. right now while you're listening to this, I guarantee you're not going to like how it feels. Yeah. Because you're addicted to it. It's everyone's little binky.
Dude, and it's so funny how easy, I'll just speak for myself here, how easy it is. Granted, yes, I do like literally all of my work on my phone, but how easy it is, and I catch myself, for me to find an excuse to be like, oh, I need that because I have to, like, I just, my reminders are there, my notes are there, I text myself if I need to remind myself of something I need to do the next day. And it's like the moment I put it down, it's so funny that it's like my psyche is trying to call me back to it in some roundabout way. Like, oh, I just remembered I need to do this tomorrow. Well, in order for me to not forget that I need to do that tomorrow, I need to pick my phone back up. So I'm going to do that real quick.
Interesting. Yeah.
It's wild.
I have that, but it's a whiteboard in my office. So it's nice that I can track the thing, but tracking the thing doesn't also mean let's check Instagram or let's check, so that's helpful.
I'm pretty good about that, but still, it still fucking bothers me though, that it's like, the phone, because it's not even about getting on the apps necessarily. It's that like my psyche is calling me back to the device.
Yeah. Like I'm not totally me at my capacity without
Yes,
this
that's
little
what I'm
robot
saying,
helper.
dude.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
like, it fucking bothers
That
me.
seems unavoidable at this point, though,
know.
too. So it's about how do we get in right relation with
Yeah.
that and get in right relation with it now.
Yeah.
Because this shit's about to get so fast.
Yeah.
I don't think people realize just the rest of this year. And with that frickin' bill that they're doing, where they're saying like no regulations on AI for the next 10 years, what does that even mean? Like,
That's so wild, bro.
it's going to happen so fast. And it's hard for me to, I have so much energy behind this aspect because it's going to rock us massively. Nobody's ready for it. And we're going to need people aggressively keeping the real world alive.
Yeah, man.
We're going to have to start, there's going to be people starting to like fight to keep parks and the farms and it's like, it's already turning into that, you know,
It's fucking wild.
farms just getting bought out because of a made up bird flu, right?
Yep.
So getting in right relationship with it now is huge so that you don't get sucked into it before it's too late. We're already sucked into it. We've been doing a 15-year experiment called scrolling. We've only had the infinite scroll feeds for like 10, 12 years. And I think the gig is up. Like we lost. Yeah. We can't handle that.
No.
It's not good for us. It's screwing everybody up massively. Our brains are changing as a result. Society's changing as a result. It's almost too late. And I'm just saying it this dramatically because people need to get it that dramatically. And if you don't believe me, put your phone away and you'll believe me. It's a really big deal. So ritual reboot.
Real quick on that. It's like,
please.
It's wild because I've thought about this, that it is a struggle for people to watch anything that is over like 120 seconds, 120 seconds to 180 seconds, right? Yeah. But the deeper implications are, we're talking about watching something that's 120, 180 seconds versus watching something that's extended. But in either case, we're still arguing within the box of the black mirrors in our lives. You know what I mean? It's like, it's so crazy. People say that. It's so crazy that people can't watch anything that's over 120 seconds. And that's how much we've been tricked and conditioned into like this endless looping. But we're still arguing within the context of you're still glued to a device either way.
Yeah.
Either fucking way.
Do you want to watch 120 seconds of Democrats or a 2 hour of a Republican? Yeah. And it's like, no. We still missed it. It's not about either of those parties.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say. Sorry. I just had to throw that in there.
It's totally legit. I'm going to share something embarrassing. My partner and I don't have to reel her into it, but I wanted to show her one of my favorite movies of all time called Amélie. Have you seen it?
No.
It's a French film, super artistic, very poetic, very beautiful. We couldn't even finish it. Like we were just bored. It was this really, really confronting, really awkward experience for me because I'm like remembering parts. None of them I remember as good as when I was like 15 when I first saw it. And maybe someone else who, you know, is like, I watched it again too. It just kind of is boring or whatever. It doesn't ripen with age or whatever. But it was just intense to realize like sometimes it's hard to sit down and read a book. It's not giving you that same level. And I would argue, even since we do share this collective thought field and the internet is part of that, like the entire internet exists right here in my hand, like every website physically exists.
It's wild.
That's crazy. And if I just put my head right there, then right. But it's right here too.
Right.
I'd argue maybe 15 years ago, it was probably objectively easier to just sit down and meditate or kind of clear your thoughts or just kind of this and that. I'll go sit down and meditate sometimes and I have to go through a layer of Gaza. I have to go through a layer of Russia. I have to go through a layer of all these things. And none of which I necessarily opted into, but are all like forced upon me because I've opted into these media platforms.
Dude, it's so wild.
And I don't think anybody gets those implications and how we have to, like, how to move through that.
Yeah, it's so wild you're saying that. And that's so validating because especially within the last year, when I sit down to meditate or do Qigong, I've noticed the same thing in myself. Yep. And I was like, is something fucking wrong with me? But I'm like really thinking that it's the overlapping fields and frequencies and signals that we're exposed to that are literally right here, ever present around us, that we're having to filter through to get to, okay, where does my individuated field, Like where's the barrier of that I can just sit within for a little bit, you know?
Psychic sovereignty.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Big fan.
Yeah.
Hard to come by. Sometimes I feel like I pick up on like crappy radio stations. I'll have like a 90s song in like I don't listen to that and it's just there. And I'm like, how could that possibly get there?
I will wake up sometimes with a song I haven't heard in like 18 years, 20 years, just fucking pops in my head out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like out of nowhere.
Yeah.
All the time. I don't know if that's a function of that, but same thing.
Yeah. Or you just
okay. Sorry.
Ritual
Ritual
viewing something. So anybody listening to all this, and if they are on board, Ritual Reboot it's like my most popular thing I've ever made, basically, as far as like my courses and whatnot. But it's basically there's just a few hours of stuff to learn and kind of prep yourself, and you go through this 7-day guided detox. And I say it's guided because there's a journal you can get. It comes with a PDF. You can pay a little extra and we'll ship you the physical thing, which is worth it to have like an analog experience while you're going through it. And then there's a video with me each day of the 7 days where we just kind of drop you into some stuff. You're answering some questions, but we've set up everything ahead of the 7 days. You'll end up actually having the most productive week you've had maybe in your whole life, while simultaneously getting 8 or more hours of sleep every night, having time to do all the chores you've been putting off. And like, it's mind blowing how much time people get back. And just to give a simple example, let's say you lose 1 hour a day on average to distraction or just feeling depleted or disempowered because you just watched a whole thing about the war and and you lost an hour of time. Like an hour of quality, engaged energy and awareness you would have preferred to have. If you do that for an hour a day on average, and for most people it's 3 to 5, and for even more people it's like 7 and 8.
Wild.
Yeah. I did a study of about 1,000 high performers a few years ago, and they were all 5 hours and up.
Wow.
Not just lost to like scrolling time, but lost to just crappy energy where it's like, I don't want to do anything even if I had the time, right? So an hour a day, that's 365 hours a year. If you divide that by the 8-hour workday, like the time we want to have full engagement, that's about 2 months of workdays gone, completely gone.
Wow.
If you just divide it by 24 hours, it's 2 weeks of your entire year gone.
Wow.
If on December 31st every year you could like press a button and go into a portal and just get 2 entire weeks of free time that when you came back like got applied to your year, that sounds like the most valuable thing you possibly do. We literally just throw it out the window every single day. And then when you add that up collectively, which is crazy, 1 million people times 1 hour. Gosh, I wish I just did this math recently. It's like 20 years or something like that. Crazy. So every day there's at least 1 million people who waste an hour of their time. And then from this kind of meta perspective, it's like we lost 20 years of progress that could have happened. But it's really like 8 billion people mismatching freaking a few hours of their time. So it's like every single day. And again, we're not trying to be some like stickler where we should all be perfect and progress perfectly all the time. I trust exactly how it's unfolding. But part of that unfolding is, maybe I don't have to doom scroll from the time I'm done with dinner. Well, even while I'm eating dinner until I go to sleep, which is what a lot of people do.
Wild.
And then you wonder why you can't sleep well, and you wonder why things don't get done, and you wonder why you have all these open loops. And it's like, you're never ending your day. You actually need to eat dinner and then sit with all the stressful, annoying, frustrating things that happen that day so you can actually integrate them. But instead we watch the Netflix or we do the thing, and we're literally taking that as a drug to be able to experience different emotions than the ones that life actually gave us that day. And that's called emotional suppression. The archons win again. So Ritual Reboot is a really fun, enjoyable way where you're not feeling like you're just detoxing everything and you're just going to hate your life. It's like so dopamine, the whole issue with that is it's the progress molecule. We want progress. You could sit down and look at a blank screen because you need to write a book, and then your brain goes, but I could just look on Instagram and look at done stuff, and that's stimulating and it feels like progress. So we're saying no to making actual progress, right? And then just getting this like preloaded, done for you progress that's not real and nothing actually progressed, just like a video game, right? You could literally win a whole video game and play nonstop for a whole week and you finish it and nothing in your actual life move forward. In fact, it probably moved backwards because of your lack of sleep and all the Mountain Dew you had or whatever. So there's a way to really hack the system, and you'd be surprised how much you can actually get back even just from like 1 hour of true engagement. Like that's kind of my promise with the course is like, if I even get you back that 1 hour of genuine true engagement, like in 1 hour, you can get the next best guest on the show and follow up with a vendor for next year's thing and do that. Like there's so many things that can happen.
Totally.
But we just can kind of lose sight of it because we're just a little tired and just a little annoyed and just a little under, resourced here. And so we have to nip it in the butt. It's a 7-day reboot. And then on the way out of it and through it, you're learning these different principles. Even a lot of the like Huberman stuff, like you want to see the light during the morning so that your body knows when to go to sleep, and see it in the middle of the day will give you another boost, and the cold showers can help with the dopamine too. And there's all these little biohacks and things that make a massive difference that a lot of people just miss out on. For the simplest, one of the most impactful ones is instead of waking up, people will wake up and then immediately jump on their phone to wake themselves up, to go, oh yeah, there's my life. Oh yeah, there's my feed. Oh, there's my friends. Oh, there's the news. Oh, there's the stuff. Wake up and just go splash cold water on your face and like wash your face and you're awake. The mammalian dive response, you get a little extra cortisol and you have the feeling that you wanted, but instead of the phone gives you some cortisol and like all this other stress and stuff from realizing your life still isn't where you want it to be and all that kind of crap. So there's like all these things that we do that are replacing actual natural moments where it would be really easy to show up for yourself. So Ritual Reboot takes care of that.
Would that be good for me to do right now?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm just thinking that this whole time. I'm like, man, I feel like I need a reboot.
Because it'll give you a new baseline too, where you'll realize like, oh, those days where I'm kind of like, can actually be like, and you're like, oh, but I did half the amount of stuff. But then after 2 weeks of doing that, you're still going instead of, oh, for 4 days, I like, and now for the next 4 days, I'm kind of worthless because like nothing's there. And I'm just trying to catch up and everything's annoying. And and the kids are too much and this and that, and it all piles on. So it's like just starting to switch the baseline. I love the term being a yinpreneur versus a yangpreneur. So it's like, how can you let life, like that, what's that quote? Like a forest is never in a hurry and yet everything gets done. It's also really slow, if you notice, and almost completely still from a certain perspective. And yet it's teeming and moving. So it's like, we want the force of how we show up and deliver and make stuff happen in the world should probably mimic the most productive systems in nature we've ever seen.
Such a good point. Which
is pretty slow, pretty stable, completely dynamic, can handle all the weather and all the different movements. Sometimes there's a little overgrowth and a die-off over here, and that's part of it. And then that breeds better life and better soil. And it's all baked into it. But you never see a forest like, all right, what's next? How do we?
That's so true. That's so true, man. Well, I'm going to try it out. So I can share with my audience how I felt doing it.
Great.
And for anyone who wants to try Ritual Reboot, again, all that's in the show notes, along with Masterful Man and Fruiting Bodies as well. Just to let everyone know, just before this episode, I'm tired as shit lately. Just because all I have going on, and it's a phase in life, and I know that, and I'm going to do Ritual Reboot, and I'm going to see how I feel afterwards. But little shout out to Fruiting Bodies. I took some of that. Was it that one that I took?
Yep, this one right here.
Yeah, and say what that one is. Cordyceps just before this episode, and it got me over the hump. Not that this was a hump to do this episode, but I'm tired.
If we would have humped it, it'd be a whole other episode.
Can't wait for that episode. Man,
that one's behind the paywall.
That one's for members only. Members only are the way forward, man.
I will throw a seed that we have both riffed on a little bit just to get the audience excited too. Because I know your audience, I am your audience, by the way, as well, right?
Thank you.
And you've been such a great permission slip for me, because at the same time right when I did Plandemic, and the moment we launched the part 2, like the big launch with the long thing, it, like, I don't know, within a couple weeks is when I learned about terrain and germ theory and all. Like we didn't even know.
Yeah.
And we're doing this whole thing. So you became this like incredible kind of North Star for me to like, oh wow, somebody who like gets what I get, but also took it this whole other stage further that I hadn't even been introduced to yet. So you made that a really smooth transition, which was great. And then since catching up on that regard, all these other pieces that we're into, right? The water stuff, the biofield, like the somatics, the healing, like how does all this stuff work? Yeah, I'll just kind of like add to the field to set that intention that there is a very potent sort of unification, like a practical, basically I have a book in mind that I'm going to put together. I barely am going to write much of it because most of it is just about featuring all these other bodies of work that have been established. Confluence is the perfect example of an event where you go to see everyone talking about the same exact thing from different angles that lets you land in that thing in such a congruent, like established, textured way because you're seeing all these different angles.
Yeah.
And I know that your audience is super hungry for that because that's why they watch this show. They're like, oh my gosh, he's going to have that person on because that's going to connect the dot with this thing. And every time you and I get together, we're just trying to kind of piece it all together and make it all make sense. So we can talk more about that off air, but I've been putting a lot of legwork into that, specifically post-Confluence, because that event rocked me. Like totally rocked me.
That means a lot coming from you too, dude, by the way, because I know you've gone to a lot of events.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And run a lot and been a part of a lot and consulted on a lot of them. There's something about giving people like the education, because you could just go buy one of these people's courses or watch the YouTube video or listen to the podcast episode. Most people listening to this show are also maybe like tidying up the house or on their way to work or doing this other thing. And it's such a blessing when you can like have a day off and lay by the pool and just like listen to the way forward and like be in the conversation is great. But even that doesn't get anywhere close to like watching Veda Austin talk while you're shoulder to shoulder with your bro. And then she says a thing and you're like, dude, yeah. And you're like emoting together and feeling it and then get to talk about it afterwards. And so everybody who's listening, who wasn't at Confluence, you absolutely have to be there. The next one's bound to sell out within, it's going to turn into like Burning Man where it just sells out the moment you open the thing. It's a really big deal for people to be there.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel the same way. And I'm not one to, toot my own horn, so to speak, but like that event is incredibly special. It's a special experience, and I feel honored to pick the speakers and workshop leaders, and like the dynamic of people that we picked this year was just incredible. And all the people who showed up, the audience, the attendees, it was just incredible, man.
Yeah.
Like next level incredible. But yeah, you have a name for what you're working on though.
I do.
Do you feel cool to share it?
I mean, this would be the place to share it.
Okay.
It's something that I've been holding on to for a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
I did bring it up. It was basically the end of my gold pill workshop. And this might be a great kind of, closer with even with the gold pill stuff and all that. And the premise of the gold pill is really just integration, right? Mm-hmm. Don't take the red pill, don't take the blue pill, don't take the black pill or the white pill. It's like, you got to take all of them and you got to keep taking them. And you got to keep going. And it's like letting it all in, but then knowing how do we actually integrate these things as they happen. Integration is a mental, emotional, and body-based experience and relational. But I started to have these moments myself where it's like, and even, with my partner, Jess, who's like this multi-dimensional healer who's trained in a bunch of different things. And we're always saying is like, what is it that makes hypnosis work when it does work? What is it that makes affirmations work when it does work? It doesn't always work because there's context, there's different scenarios. What is it that makes, people see videos of people on tables and they're like shaking and doing all this stuff. Like what's causing that? How is that happening? and you start to apply all these different healing modalities with this layer of all these understandings we now have around frequency and the biofield and water and consciousness and all these different pieces. And at least for me, it all sits in this really, really cozy, lovely little space. Like it just all totally makes sense.
Yes, same.
To the point where it almost seems like it's sorted out and we're almost looking past it already. Like we already got it because we literally are it and we're being it and doing it. And that's the most like intuitive thing you could realize is like, oh wait, this is it.
Yeah. Yeah. I know exactly.
You're like, what is this? And it's like, this is it.
Yeah.
Wrong question, right? Start with the conclusion, right?
Yeah.
But on a more practical sense, I've always been sitting with like, okay, well, we know the body keeps the score. We know that water observes and holds memory and communicates, or even just the Masaru Emoto. We know that it changes its shape and format and form based on the frequency, based on the feeling, based on whatever. So starting to take all of these different models and turn them into something that could be almost more of like a daily practice that simultaneously has you, because I define integration as acknowledgement and utilization of wholeness. So it's one thing to acknowledge, like, you know, like parts work, like, oh yeah, I have this little young part in me. I acknowledge them. Great. Anybody can do that.
Right.
Right. How about utilizing it?
Yeah. What
How
do you
about
do
it
with it?
actually being involved versus it's just this secluded little part that I'm even calling it a part because I don't want it to be me or I don't feel like it's me or it's a part. It's this other thing. You're literally making it another by making it a part, even though part means part of the whole. We still kind of hide in that. Oh, well, that's just my part. Oh, that's just my pattern. Oh, that's just my shadow. Oh, that's just right. So how do we get past all that crazy making for one? And make it a body-based experience, right? So that we're not just, anybody can kind of sit down and think about how great everything is or think about oneness. And even my name, Solace. Solace means peace amongst chaos. There's no such thing as peace right now. Someone at peace today isn't actually at peace. They're in solace. Because you're meditating in your room in total bliss, and guess what? Within a mile radius, someone's dying from a heroin overdose. Right? There's someone starving. There's someone getting beat by their partner. There's some, like, that's the reality of it. There is no peace. We need to start kind of like realizing what that means when we are able to take a sip from peace. It's a gift, it's passing, it's fleeting, and it's not the whole thing. It's a piece of the piece. It's a part. But it's just enough to potentially fill your cup to go then take care of those other things. So I think a big, and similarly, like all this parts work and healing and the trauma and getting all this stuff, one of the best ways to approach that is to have your cup full, have the capacity to do it, right? The last thing you want to do is a tough shit when you're, you know, running on empty. So with all that said, I'm developing this sort of word that's kind of like a mantra, but it's also a methodology, but it's also nothing new. And it's kind of all these things. I put together a list. I just did a talk on this at Jess's retreat for her practitioners. And it's like 30 things at this point, right? You throw Masaru Emoto, you throw morphogenetic fields, you throw the biofield, you throw all these different things in there, and you start to develop this kind of coherent conclusion. And so the word is SOKIMA.
SOKIMA.
So I want you to think of the word soma, which means the body, of the body, and then split it in half. And then put chi in there, Q-I, a key, SOKIMA. Okay, so the word itself simply means energy in the body. That's all it means.
I love that though.
Okay,
SOKIMA.
and it's just a good looking word in all caps. It's like a sexy little brand. It just looks nice. It all just kind of works out. Makes sense. The so is masculine, soul, so sun, right? And even just so. Like just that impression of so, like, what will I do with that? What can I create with that? It's a leading sort of energy. Ma is the feminine. The key in the middle is like the neutral or the chaos, right? When you breathe in, that's so. At the top of that breath, there's a moment of stillness. That's the key. And you breathe out, that's the ma. And then at the bottom of that, there's a bit of a key. So it's so ki ma ki with the breath.
SOKIMA.
But it's just SOKIMA. And what this actually translates into is a daily practice. It takes 9 minutes. If you want to really go all out, you do in the morning, midday, evening. And you're going to have the time to do it now too, because you're doing ritual reboot, right? Everyone's like, oh my God, 27 minutes of my, it's like, yeah, that's one TV show, right? Mm-hmm. And long story short, you're simply giving your body the space to integrate, to process. The body knows how to process already. How does fasting work? You literally get out of the way.
Exactly.
The body already knows how to take Gerald Pollack's work and Veda Austin's work and all the things. And the body already knows it's literally doing that. We're just discovering what the body already does. So the idea is that it's preventative, because you might realize, oh my gosh, I really repressed something today because I got really pissed and I totally bit my tongue and I didn't say it. In a SOKA practice, you don't go to sleep without at least acknowledging that and ultimately leaning towards the utilization of it, meaning letting it be experienced through the body. Right? What we've learned with trauma healing and nervous system healing, all this stuff, a lot of the times it's a survival response that doesn't get to complete itself. Right? Peter Levine's got an incredible story where he's, this woman she was literally like held down as a child and given shots, and then developed this disease, this disorder where she never wanted to leave her house. It's like, I wouldn't want to leave my house too if I thought I was going to get shots. So he guides her through this internal experience where she gets attacked by a tiger and gets held down by the tiger, but finally gets to like get out of the grasp and run away. She gets to complete the thing her body didn't get to do, which was run away from the tyrants. Maybe get a good little clock in there too and run away. And her legs are having this physical response to like a guided meditation, basically. And it's her body literally finishing up, using up that charge that's been so stuck and suppressed in there and doesn't get to be utilized. So people, and that's a very deep, and I'm not trying to minimize that work at all. You can study that stuff for years and years and years. But I've always been really curious about how can we almost make the yoga of trauma healing? Like, it's kind of cool that yoga's everywhere now. It's not real yoga, but I'm glad people are stretching. I'm glad people go and get a sweat. I'd rather do anything with someone who's like been doing a lot of yoga than someone who doesn't get in their body. Like, it's just good for humans, right? So it's taking that principle. How can we make something that understands that our bodies are water, our bodies respond to our thoughts, to our frequencies, to our emotions. They also respond all the fascia work that Brooke does, right? It's like, you can't outthink your fascia, right? Our mental state is the result. It's almost the last part of what our body and biofield is generating. And it's an algorithm. So you look at that torus field. Why do I keep ruminating on that thing? Because every time it shows up, your body clicks into a spot and you leave it that way and you keep it there. When's the last time that shitty thought showed up and then you opened your body to it, or at least attempted to, or at least experienced your will in desire to open to it? Maybe you can't, but the will is there. That's a completely different experience than just re-victimizing yourself, right? So SOKA is essentially, you could call it like an inner arts practice, but uses movement and uses the sensations and uses the process of the body to allow you to kind of real time integrate your life. But for a lot of people, when you go to start doing it, it's going to be a lot of catch up. So how do we like create a space to co-facilitate what the body already knows it needs to do? Just like if you prepare for a fast, you don't just chow down on 3 pizzas one night and then fast the next day. That's asking to have a terrible fast. You co-facilitate the fast. You set your body up for it. You start teetering off the carbs. You get in that bone broth. You hypermineralize, whatever it is, and you get yourself ready for it. And the body's able to do what it does. Mm-hmm. So every single day, everybody wants to integrate themselves. We do not want to be emotionally suppressed. The body is looking for every possible excuse to integrate itself. Our psyches are doing it every night while we dream. And so SOKA is a very simple practice that lets you acknowledge what is up for you. Instead of doom scrolling after dinner, you can go, oh, it's just 9 minutes? Okay, great. Here's a 9-minute practice to go be with who I actually am today. And then if I want to doom scroll after that, fine. But there's a good chance you probably won't, or you'll want to watch an interesting documentary or something else instead.
I love that, man.
Yeah. So without getting into it, what I'd love to do is we'll put a link in the show notes and people can like get the whole download on there. It's still kind of in development. It's not something I'm probably going to launch for a few months, but I mean, this will come out in like a month or two anyway, so it might line up great.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That sounds dope.
Yeah.
That sounds really, really cool. Man, I love you, dude.
Love you too, man.
Thank you for being here with me, man.
We got like 6 more hours, right?
Shit.
I don't know if I brought enough cordyceps for that.
Maybe a month from now. Maybe.
Yeah.
But I love you so much, bro. Thank you for being one of my best friends. Thank you for being here with me, man.
Thank you.